anytime. We are always bringing it to you.
Kiss your mother with that mouth?
I didn't even say anything yet. I mean, I'm gonna.
You stay classy.
Inevitably, I'm gonna upset that one guy who gets real mad at the caption LFG on. Well, that one just felt unnecessary. That one just felt like you wanted to do it.
If someone's going to get mad, I mean, there's a good shot in where we live that the chances are that I'm probably right.
Just playing the numbers here. Just playing the numbers. Welcome in, everybody. Great to have you. 6 till 10 a.m. on the Rob Brown Show. Going ham at 6 a.m. Yes, we are. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you all slept last night. I don't know how after that Thursday night football game, any of you laid down and were able to calm down the blood pressure, to decrease the heart rate. I don't know how any of you were able to get a wink of sleep last night after what might have been the single. Can we be honest? It actually was a good game. Honestly, it was a good football game. This is what I was talking about yesterday when I say to people, if you don't find the beauty from goal line to goal line, you only find beauty in the painted part of the field, you don't know ball, brother. You just don't. The beauty's in the game itself. There was beauty in that game last night. It was not a bad game. It just didn't have touchdowns in it.
There was sadness in this game because the vaunted 49ers coming into this season, everyone, the majority of people thought that they were going to be in the hunt for the Super Bowl. And look at them now. What happened?
McCaffrey ain't McCaffrey. Debo ain't Debo. That defense, for whatever reason. I mean, actually, can we give credit to the Niner defense last night? They held the Rams to 4 field goals. That's a Rams team that, now granted, they only put up 6 points, 2 field goals against a team that allowed, 42 last week. So that ain't great, Bob. But let's give a little bit of credit to the defenses on both sides of the field last night. Although I am going to say to all the fine people out there that when Rob Brown said, hey, maybe Brock Purdy's just an average quarterback surrounded by incredible talent. Maybe he's not worth $100 million. Maybe he's not worth resetting the entire quarterback market around the National Football League. And I had a bunch of people saying, hey, Rob Brown, you don't know ball, brother. And I went, whoa.
Sure, he has an undisclosed injury that we're going to find out at the end of the season.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
I do know ball, brother. I do know ball. Brock Purdy is an okay call. He's fine. He's not that good. He's not that bad, but he's not that good. He's fine. This is what happens, and I'm not saying this is good or bad or whatever, but this is what happens when you put all of your metaphorical eggs into one proverbial basket. When you decide you're going to go all in one aspect of football, and then that aspect don't work out, you're cooked, my dudes. You're cooked. 2-6 across the last 8. You're cooked. When you get to a point where you go all, it's kind of like the, it's kind of like these people with the cryptocurrency stuff, right? They go all in. That's where they're going to make all the money. They're going to get all the money, and they get suckered in to the Hawk Tua girls coin, and they go all in on it. And then it don't work out. And the next thing you know, you got people needing to sue the Hawk Tua girl because they gambled away their kids' college fund and they went all in on one basket. And then that basket broke and all the eggs broke. I went one step too far, but you get it. The San Francisco 49ers went all in on building the most elite group of skilled talent in the NFL. Well, guess what? Brock Purdy ain't that good. Once Trent went down, that offensive line ain't that good. And so and by the way, Christian McCaffrey, as I told you, was inevitable. He had last year one of the greatest years in the history of football. I mean, he was a supernova last year out of the backfield. But when you use that guy at that age, that much, with that much impact around him, eventually you're going to run out of tread on the tires. McCaffrey's cooked. He's not coming back. I'm sorry. So you lose Christian McCaffrey, who was your, oh, bleep, everything's going wrong, get the ball to 23 guy. He's gone. Debo, having all the pressure added to him, all of a sudden can't catch a simple crossing route. Did you see the drop he had last night? Dude, little slant right across the middle. There's not a ram within 8 feet of him. It hits him right on the one. Just bang, right center of the chest. Not between the numbers, like between the 9 and the in 49ers in that real little logo on the chest. Hit him right there. And he just drops it. Now, nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to have a case of the whoopsie daisies every now and then. Everybody is every now and then going to have a case of the It happens. But like, that was bad. That was real bad in a clutch moment. So everything is going downhill for the San Francisco 49ers. And what they don't have, and I told you they wouldn't, what they don't have is a guy who can be the guy at quarterback to carry it for a minute while everybody else gets right. And so now they got a guy who ain't the guy at quarterback to carry it when it's gone wrong until it gets right. They don't have a Debo Samuel that they can put at any position on the field and get the best out of him. They don't have their, oh no, holy crap, we're screwed, give it to McCaffrey guy. They have Kittle. And by the way, where the hell's Juszczyk been? What happened to Kyle Juszczyk? That dude for a while was just like a bulldozer in the red zone, and even he's disappeared.
Maybe he decided he didn't want to play.
Whew. And now I got, on top of all of that, now I got 49er defensive players that are like, hey, Kyle, I'm out. Later, bro. I'm done. Kevin just walks off the field. Third quarter, I'm gone. Bye, Felicia. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out. Just Splitsville in the middle. To the point that everybody who came up to the podium last night had to be asked about Campbell. Everybody had to be asked about him. And that was pathetic, man. It was sad. So I got no McCaffrey. I got a Debo. And again, I'm not saying Debo can't fix it. Debo's a hell of a football player. But they needed him last night, and he wasn't there. So I got no Debo. Ayuk's done for the year. Now, what's that mean? What that means is I can commit extra defenders to George Kittle. I can bracket George Kittle, who is really, again, until Debo gets it right, George Kittle's the only down-the-field threat they got right now. That's a tight end. Granted, an exceptional one, but a tight end. I can bracket that guy because what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? You're running Isaac Guerendo, a practice squad guy at me out of the backfield? I'm going to bracket Kittle and good luck to Brock Purdy. And as you saw last night, Brock can't do it. So, on one hand, as a guy who does know ball, brother, I kind of enjoyed the game because it was two defenses that got to tee off on each other. This is what I'm talking about when we had this conversation very briefly. I didn't get into it as much as I'd like to, but we're going to today. This Steve Kerr tirade that he went on after the Rockets knocked the Warriors out of the NBA Cup Wednesday night. We're going to talk about Steve Kerr's tirade later today. Wanted to get to it yesterday, but you guys lit up the phone line towards the end of the show, lit up the text line towards the end of the show, so I didn't get a chance to, which I'm totally fine with, by the way. It is your show. I'm just here to be the facilitator. There's this mentality. And it is I credit, for the record, soccer for saving me from this mentality. Soccer saved me from this mentality. It is. Let me put my nose very high in the air. Quick, hand me something to drink so that I may stick my pinky out. It is a very American way of looking at sports. The only thing that matters is scores. The only thing that matters is touchdowns. This is why when you pop on to ESPN at the end of any given night and you're watching the sports centers, they go, all right, let's go to the highlights. And what do they show you? In football, they show you touchdowns.
America.
In basketball, they show you dunks.
America.
In baseball, they show you dongs.
America.
I got Lonzo to play America for dongs. Yeah. Getting the day started with a bang. So when they show you these sports, that's what they show you. They show you the home runs, the touchdowns, the three-pointers, and the slam dunks. But that's the result of the play. The result of the play is the touchdown. The play isn't a touchdown play. The play is a play that results in a touchdown. The dunk isn't the play. There was all this other stuff that had to happen to result in the dunk. The dong isn't the result of the dong. The dong is the result of the pitching matchup, the pitch that was selected, the pitch the batter was looking for, the placement of the baseball bat. There's so many things. The situation the batter was in on the field. There's all this stuff that goes into a touchdown or goes into a dunk or goes into a dong. And then, but all we've ever been conditioned to focus on is the touchdown or the dunk or the dong. Don't just focus on the dong. There's more going on, right? So when I watched this game last night, and I went to bed like end of the third period. And it wasn't because I wasn't enjoying the game. It was just because I am a tired person most of the time. Didn't go to sleep. I fell asleep about 2:45 this morning. So last hour of the show is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I already knew that. The corrections.
I'll tell you, Daddy couldn't sleep last night. All right, just one of them nights. The insomnia bug hath arisen. So I turned off the TV. I tried to go to bed. It didn't work. But for the three periods that I watched this game last night, I had to say I enjoyed it. I was entertained because it really wasn't bad football. There just weren't any touchdowns. But again, when you start learning to watch the play and not the result of the play, when you start learning to watch the X's and the O's and where guys are going and why, and route patterns and progressions and mesh schemes and blocking schemes and all these different aspects of football. And instead of just going boring, no score touchdowns. But if you actually start to watch the game, that game was actually pretty good. It really was a masterclass of two head coaches, two sets of coordinators that are very talented, feeling each other out. It was two brilliant football minds. You ever heard those interviews Sean McVay gives? There's you can find them on podcasts and stuff where there's this game that podcasters love to play with Sean McVay. And they'll go, all right, let me take you back to week 9, 2022. You guys are on the road at Seattle. It's 3rd and 8. And that's all they'll give him. And McVay will be like, okay, yeah, we ran a play call, was a double reverse end around to Debo, and he did this, and he got 17 yards. Like he has this genius intellect of memory and about football. Like genius intellect. Kyle Shanahan is a hell of a designer of plays. That's the reason San Francisco put all of, again, those metaphorical eggs in that proverbial basket. Because they said, whoa, this guy knows how to design up some schemes. We ought to get him a stable of Ferraris because he knows how to coach a race. Let's go. And it worked. So last night, what you had was a masterclass of two coaches playing chess against each other, using football players as the pieces. And if you were actually watching the football, it's a pretty good game. But the TV folks have got y'all conditioned to believe that the only thing that matters is touchdowns. That's all that matters. If no touchdowns are scored, it was a bad game. I went to a Major League Baseball game when I was like 23, 24. I I was either coming out of or towards the end of the college era of Rob Brown. I was in my college era. And I went to a Braves game with a bunch of fraternity brothers. And I think it was like both pitchers worked a 2-hitter, a 2 or 3-hitter. There were like maybe 4 hits in that game entirely. And I remember very vividly a buddy of mine, Mark Caruso. He's a cop now. Good dude. I remember leaving that game and him from the parking lot all the way back to, or from the stadium all the way back to the parking lot, was absolutely pitching a fit. He's like, that's the most boring baseball game I've ever been to. We had like 4 base runners. I'm like, are you kidding me? That was one of the best games I've ever been. I can't remember who was pitching, but I remember it was like in total, they were like 4 hits all day long. And I'm like, that was a masterclass, dude. That was incredible. That was one of the best pitching duels I've ever seen. It was chess match from both guys on the bump. But all he had been, and this is around the time that this understanding started coming into my life, to him, it was an exceptionally boring baseball game because nobody got hits. Nobody hit home runs. If you learn to watch the game and not just the results, if you learn to watch the play but not just the result of it, you can actually enjoy games last night. You don't have to get up this morning and start texting the text line like this texter did that said, Rob, you're an idiot. That was boring. No, it wasn't. Learn to watch the play instead of the result of it. And games like last night suddenly are a hell of a lot less boring. I'm not saying there's never boring games. I'm saying last night wasn't. It was a masterclass and 2 head coaches that were at it, and I loved it. All right, we'll talk about that game. We'll talk about that game's impact on the NFL divisional races later on in the show. Got some college football awards that were handed out last night. We'll talk about those and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show. Happy Friday, y'all. It's the Fan Upstate.
I sent you a game that you would be interested in. Video game awards were last night.
Yeah, the clip started showing up on my feed early this morning when I couldn't sleep and was scrolling the Twitter videos, like the Game of Thrones RPG. Don't call me. I'll be in my brocade for a month.
That's not the one I sent you, though.
No? I'm wondering if I saw the one that you sent me. In Hunt Showdown 1896, Post Malone's Murder Circus.
You got to watch the video, dude.
Hang on, I'm putting it on speaker so I can. Stay tuned, everybody. It's video game preview day. It started in the swamps.
I didn't watch the audio. I didn't hear the audio, so just saying.
Everywhere corruption went, hunters followed. But now, there's something new on the market. And things will never be the same. Welcome to my murder circus. Oh, it's literally a murder circus.
You're killing clowns.
Yeah. Okay. I do love that Post Malone's doing a cheap Rob Zombie knockoff, though.
It didn't sound bad, and
It doesn't look bad at all.
yeah, it doesn't. And for all those people, the question is, if you're afraid of clowns, can you play a game where you kill clowns? Because
is clownophobia and having clowns obviously jump scare you throughout this game worth the knowledge that you can boomstick a bunch of clowns?
yeah, I mean, is that I'm not afraid of clowns, so I don't know.
Once I'm going to play Witcher 3, and Witcher 4 looks great. I didn't see any of the other videos yet. I did watch the preview for Witcher 4 last night.
All right, I think there's going to be some backlash. We'll see. There was a rumor that Siri was going to be the protagonist.
Siri, like from your iPhone?
No, Siri is.
I'm here to kill you.
Is from Witcher.
I'm here to. I'm making it.
Okay. No, I got
I'm
you.
here to murder you.
Yeah, it's It's probably going to happen eventually. I don't like how aged she is, so I wonder how old she is. But the trailer looked pretty wicked. It did. And in Witcher 3, Ciri really did stand out. So we'll see how sales go and everything with her being the because it's one of those things where you have a main character that's been in 3 games and then you switch to a different main character. What will that do as far as sales go? I'm interested about that. I'm definitely going to play it though. Witcher 3 was excellent, especially with all the DLC. All the DLC was great. It was hard. There was a hard learning curve to it. I mean, it took you a while to get a weapon that was good enough to really you lose a lot in the beginning. You go, oh, look, there's a bunch of monsters. I'm just going to jump off my horse and go. And then you're devastated and you're laying there bleeding on the ground going, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for that yet.
I have never played any of the Witcher games. I feel like that's a failure on my part.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
And they're very adult. So, I mean, as far as content goes. Yeah. So you would like that part. Very bloody.
We don't have to spend a ton of time on this game because I know I'm like one of the few people, maybe the only person who enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think it's one of those games that if you enjoy watching the play and not the result of it, pretty good game. Two master head coaches playing chess against each other and winning. I mean, it was a field position game for what it was. I didn't hate it. But there was a very interesting moment in the third quarter where linebacker Devondre Campbell just skedaddled. Hasta luego, muchachos. Now, in the game, they didn't really know what was going on. In the game, they were unaware why Devondre Campbell was leaving the contest. I mean, he had a towel over his head. He was holding his helmet. He was fully dressed, and he just made his way to the locker room. And that came into play later on in the game because the 49ers had a couple of linebackers go down, and they were out of dudes at the position. So towards the end of that game, with the game on the line, towards the end of that game, San Francisco was having to shift up their base defense. They were having to run some 5-2. They were having to run some 4-2 with extra cornerbacks walked up. Like they were having to work around that because they were out of bros. And after the game, Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, was asked why.
What happened with Devondre Campbell? He didn't play and he went into the locker room at some point?
Yeah, he said he didn't want to play today.
Play today?
Yep.
The coaching staff?
He did when I asked him why he didn't want to go in. So
During the game or before?
No, that was in the third quarter.
Devondre opted to not go into the game. What do you need to do to ensure that you don't lose the rest of the locker room?
I haven't lost anybody. That's somebody who doesn't want to play football. It's pretty simple. I mean, I think our team and myself, we know how we feel about that. So I don't think we need to talk about him anymore.
I don't think we need to talk about him anymore. Yeah, I bet you do feel that way, Kyle.
Well, there was a hesitation anymore, as in he's gone.
Oh. Here is Javarius Ward.
I mean, he's a professional. He's been playing for a long time. I mean, if he didn't want to play, he shouldn't have dressed out. You know, he could have told him that before the game. So I feel like there was some sucker that he did. Definitely hurt the team because, you know, D went down. And we needed a linebacker, you know. And I think Flynn was banged up too. So for him to do that, that's some sucker stuff to me, in my opinion. Like, it's probably going to get cut soon. So, you know, it is what it is with that.
There's a teammate, cornerback Javarius Ward, who said, yeah, he's probably going to get cut soon. So, which Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
Does he get picked up by anybody though? If he's done playing football, he's done playing
Lonzo,
football.
you and I both know the
Yeah,
answer to
but
that
why?
question.
Why? Can you imagine picking someone up like that who quit in the middle of a game?
We here at the fill in your team name here believe in second chances. We here at the fill in your team name here believe that he has learned his lesson and has grown into a better person and player. Come on, dude.
All right.
You know how
so,
this goes.
as a knower of ball, tell me the last time someone quit in the middle of a game like this,
Oh, I can't off the top of my head.
because I don't recall it ever happening.
But let's keep it a buck here. If you're sitting there playing with 2 or 3 guys at a linebacker position that ain't no good, if you're thinned out at the linebacker spot and you're in a position for a Super Bowl run, a lot of teams would take a crack at it. A lot of teams would say, hey, let's see. You know what it's like? It's kind of like Zoe. It's kind of like that lady who's really pretty, but she keeps cheating on boyfriends, and yet she keeps getting new boyfriends. Why? Because the new boyfriend always says, I can fix her. I can fix her. I can straighten her out. I can love you like that, and I can show you the world to where you'll not. And then all of a sudden, the person, that young lady, she runs off, gets the boom boom from another dude somewhere else a couple of weeks later, and the guy's like, why? I loved you so much. It doesn't matter. Tigers and stripes, leopards and spots, they don't change, baby. Now, I don't know. I don't know if there's a case that Devondre Campbell can be not that guy. But you and I both know there's going to be a team somewhere, if he does indeed get cut by the 49ers, there is going to be a team somewhere that is going to lay out the old press conference and say, we here at the XYZ Solos, we believe in second chances, and we believe that Campbell is a guy who has grown from this experience. He's learned his lesson, and he's a better man.
See, I disagree. I think coaches around the league are going to go, oh no, this might start a trend and people may start doing this. We can't pick this guy up. The only way that he survives this is if Shanahan gets fired. And then suddenly other guys come forward and say, yeah, man, he lost the team. And I get why he was doing all
Antonio
that.
Brown.
And looking forward to Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Did he quit in the middle of a game?
Hell yeah, he did. Third quarter, took off his shirt and jersey and skipped
It
through
does
the
sound-
end zone.
Oh, that was
Oh, it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
That looked painful.
Yeah, it didn't feel great.
Yeah. What year was that?
Brady, was it Brady's last year? So like 2021, 22?
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's the last one I can remember. I'm not, but also at the same time, like, you know, who knows if some like scrub that's never going to play did it.
You said it was Antonio Brown. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That guy,
it was Mr. CTE.
it was that guy. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
It was Mr. CTE that did it. I don't know, man. I
Do you want to see this as a trend in the NFL where people just go, man, I don't feel like it today. Sorry, boss. I'm out.
I mean,
do you want, that's what, because trends happen, especially in sports.
well, let's start with this.
Suddenly you have load management. I
Let's
mean, that
start-
just didn't suddenly go boom everywhere.
True, but
A
hang
couple
on.
guys started doing that, then everyone started.
But hang
doing
on. It is now empirically shown that load management is a good idea for certain players, right? The goal is win a championship, not entertain the fans. This is something that the anti-load management people, I get it. I understand it.
Without the fans, you have no game. You have no game.
Doesn't matter.
It's
The goal of an NBA player is to go win a championship. And by the way,
I think the goal really is to get paid. But I mean,
the goal is to get paid.
Yeah.
But you also get paid more if you win chips. The goal is
That
to
is
win
true.
chips,
That
right?
is very true.
So load management's a whole different story. But let's look at it from Devondre Campbell's spot. Let's start with this. Why didn't he want to play? Is there a reason he didn't want to play? Because for me, as Liberab the woke warrior, you know I will always take a player's side if the player has a justifiable grievance. Is there a reason? We don't know what was going on at practice and behind the scenes. Listen, Debo grabbed a mic on Tuesday or Wednesday and was going out there and whining and moaning, complaining about his lack of targets. And then he gets targeted in this game a few extra times and he drops the ball. And he's not wrong. I'm going to defend him, even though I don't necessarily want my primo wide receiver, putting my starting quarterback and my offensive coordinator on blast on national television. I don't want that. But I get what he's saying, and he's not wrong. I'm interested to hear Devondre Campbell's side of the story. Was there something going on? Is there something behind the scenes? Was something said to him? Did somebody call him a dirty, rotten, no good son of a biscuit eater on the sideline? And he was like, yo, bleep this, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened. And sports are different. Obviously, they're different. We watch them because in everyday life, if you're in the middle of your job, it's 2:30, you work till 5, and you're like, you know what? I don't feel like working anymore, and you just walk out.
So let me.
So how's your boss going to handle that?
Let me finish my thought here. So my thought here is, if somebody did something or said something that, because I've told people in my life before, you need to quit that job, because you do have a general manager or a boss who takes liberties or goes too far or acts in a way that is improper and nothing gets done about it. I have quit one job in my life, walked off one job in my life. I was the floor manager at a bank down in Destin, and I had a general manager, a regional manager. I had my manager in the branch, and I had the regional manager. And the regional manager, every time she visited, she wrote me up for something. Every single time. Anybody who's worked with me knows that Rob Brown is if nothing else, I may cuss up, I may drink a little bit, but I follow the rules. All right? I'm not a rule breaker. So I had a manager who came in and wrote me up every single time. And the last time she wrote me up was because I wasn't wearing socks under my Sperry's. I've told you this story before. Wasn't wearing socks under my Sperry's. Topsiders, not meant to be worn with socks. I wasn't wearing socks with my Sperry's, and she came in, she wrote me up. I've been wearing them for the probably at that point, 1.5 years, 2 years I've been working at this bank. But that day was a problem. And I went to my manager, guy by the name of Brock. Won't give his last name, don't know where he is, don't really care. Went up to my manager, Brock, and I'm like, Brock, you got to defend me, bud, right? Like every time the regionals manager's name was Tanya, I'm just spilling all the tea. Every time Tanya comes up in here, she writes me up for some absolute and entire bull, and you know it is. And you know it is. You got to go to bat for me, man. Like, I can't do this. I am being denied the opportunity to be promoted in this business and in this industry, something I was good at. Hated it, but was good at it. I'm being denied the opportunity to get promotions because every time one comes up and I ask for it, they go point to my disciplinary file where I got 100 write-ups from one person. You got to defend me. And he said, I can't risk it. I can't risk my job, my career to defend you from all this. And I went, cool. And I walked. I bounced.
He F5'd you.
100%. He said, I'm not putting my career and my promotion on the line, which, by the way, I'm not even mad at Brock for it. I understand. Last I heard, that man was in a regional position job. He was making 6 figures. I get it. But when I went to my coordinator and said, yo, the GM's coming up in here and she is giving me hell and I need you to defend me because you know it's unjustified. And he goes, I can't lay down for you like that. I can't take that bump for you. I went, cool. Well, then I'm out. Good luck finding the new guy. Because if you're not going to do it for me, I'm not going to go out there and just be a sturdy, good worker for you to make all the money. Right? So I'm saying maybe there's something behind the scenes going on here that caused this to happen. But here's where you lose me. When George Kittle and Charvarius Ward come out and they grab the mic and they go, yeah, screw that guy. That guy's gone. When the teammates are not avoiding and going, I don't have an answer to that. I plead the fifth, but straight up going, yeah, he gone. I don't want to be around that guy. Now I know it's a bit of an issue in the San Francisco locker room. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Got a few more things I want to get to. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you. The Rob Brown Show rolls on the Fan Upstate. Mike, oh, look who's back. Pete Digits is back with us. Where you been, big fella? Been a hot minute, man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Also, how dope does your avatar fit the banner there? All right, let me step away for 30 seconds, guys. I'll be right back.
Roger's filling in the league. He just said, stripper. In the news story, it's just so his delivery is just
Need to go pull that audio.
so awesome. It's just so
Need
awesome.
to go pull that audio.
Story, not so much, but what he was, I mean, you know.
At Chaozu DB. What is DB with? CHAOZUDB.
Chaozu.
Who would be a better draft pick? Tenshinhan? What's it? Tenshinhan
It's Tien Shin Han.
or Yamcha?
At least he said Yamcha,
I'm
right?
just reading it. Tenshinhan won the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, held down Cell and Buu, fought in the Tournament of Power. Yamcha defeated Masaru Goku with poor master of the Wolf Fang Fist, became an elite baseball player. I don't understand any of this shit you wrote. I'm a grown ass man.
So,
Okay, I don't mind some of these questions, but how dare you send me this shit thinking I can pronounce all of these?
all right. He's mad because he can't pronounce it. Last I checked, grown people actually make those shows, and, you know, it's not made by kids. More, you know, half the time he acts like he knows what's going on. He just couldn't even. And the producer probably got fired after that.
Was that on ESPN or was that on his podcast show?
I think it was a podcast show. I don't
Yeah.
know. He takes those questions and he's standing at a video thing where
Yeah.
they show that. Yeah. I've never watched any of that. I just saw what it was and was like, okay, let's see what he says about that.
Orgasm traveling quite a bit currently in MB. Myrtle Beach. See, you just got to give me a minute sometimes. I'm very dumb. Been a whirlwind. Hope we're doing great, man. Thanks for coming by. I'm glad you're spending some time with us. Good to have you, brother. I'm sorry or glad to hear work has you traveling, whichever one of those makes more sense for you.
I'm not doing well. I got a thing right here. Suddenly it's itching.
You have things everywhere.
It's itching. I don't
You
know
have
what
things
it is.
everywhere. You are falling apart.
I am.
You're like the zombie from Hocus Pocus.
I'm still happy though. Can you look at your elbow? I can't. I'm trying to look at my. I mean, is it physically possible to look at your elbow? Why are you not trying? I just want to see if it's just me. Wait a minute. It's the size of the guns that are stopping me from look. Okay, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the gun show if you're on the stream.
Facebook.com/The Fan Upstate. The Fan Upstate on YouTube. The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. If you want to come by and, I quote, see the guns. Metaphorical guns. We're not strapped for heat while we do the show.
I got an arsenal.
That you know of.
I got an arsenal up in here, y'all.
Oh, it's an artillery show. Ugh.
We can't see yours because you
Stop it.
You went full hipster today. It is matching though. It is matching.
I will have you know, I went hipster on the outside, redneck on the inside with the Raise Hell, Praise Dale shirt.
Oh, we talked about Dale last week on the Upstate Pulse.
Did you?
Dale Chihuly.
That's not Dale.
His name is Dale.
No.
It's
Right. But if you say Dale, there ain't but one of them.
So at the Biltmore, they always say experienced Chihuly, and I wanted to know what it was, and someone said that he's a glass blower, and his first name's Dale Chihuly. So when you're praising Dale Chihuly right there on your shirt.
No, ain't one
Dale Chihuly.
Dale. It's kind of like Madonna or Cher. I can say Britney, And you know the Brittany. You know there ain't but one Brittany. We all know 50 Britneys.
Yeah, she's married to Patrick Mahomes.
The Carlito girl was Brittany, all right? But there ain't but one Brittany. When I say Brittany, even I know the Brittany we're talking about here.
Brittany Mahomes.
No, she's like 19th on the list of Britneys.
Oh, no, you're talking about the Brittany
There is
who said that she's
one
5 years old and going to kindergarten. That one.
Steve Kerr and his Golden State Warriors.
Speaking of crazy.
See, the Houston Rockets done screwed up because the Houston Rockets were supposed to let the Golden State Warriors win so that they could go on to win the, as Lonzo has called it many times, obviously rigged NBA Cup.
Right, there's anger. When you know something's going to happen, like say you play.
That's what it is.
Your bookie is like, listen, man, this is a sure shot. You're going to win money here, and then you don't. Or let's say you're doing insider trading and it doesn't work. You're going to get angry. They change the script on you right when you're doing the thing.
I want to say that's a very easy thing to say when you're wrong about something.
Listen, I'm easy like Sunday morning.
So, by the way, you asked about can you see your elbow? And within 5 seconds, I received a text that said, is Lonzo high this morning? I want what he's on.
If you would call living life, and even though things are not going well physically, but knowing that I have a job that I shouldn't be in, but I've been doing it for going on 28 years and you know, stuff like that, beautiful family, all that kind of stuff. If I'm high on that, yes. I don't do that other stuff. I'm sorry that, you know, I had a few moments of clarity and realized that I couldn't look at my elbow because of the guns. It sounds like jealousy. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like jealousy. And you won't even attempt it to help my theory, but other people on the stream are helping me out. So, I mean, gun shows everywhere, baby. It's Friday. Gun show day.
So in the rigged NBA Cup, the Houston Warriors decide that they are going to upset the commish by going against the script. They went into business for their damn selves is what they did. All right. They didn't stick to the script and now they got to rewrite the whole thing. And the way that they did it towards the end of the game.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
That's what the Rockets said. And then, well, I'll just let you hear the chaos at the end of the game.
Got a 3-second difference, shot to game clock as Brooks chases Curry. And everyone standing here in Houston. Curry steps back on a launch. He missed it. Fight for the rebound. Payton poked away. 5 seconds. Boy, does Green have possession? And Billy Kennedy says foul on the Warriors.
What a sequence of events as Steve Kerr is in disbelief.
Golden State is out of fouls. And so that will result in free throws for Houston and Jalen Green. Unbelievable.
Right there, diving on the loose floor. Gary Payton II could have called a timeout. Threw the pass out. Great job, Jalen Green, getting on the floor.
So Jalen Green goes down. He ends up getting the basketball. He is fouled on the floor. He goes to the other end, knocks down 2 free throws. The Rockets take a 1-point lead with 3.5 seconds left to play. The Dubs can't get a shot off, and Houston wins the NBA Cup quarterfinals. They are on their way to the semifinals, where they'll be playing for a ticket to Vegas.
I thought we were going to hear Steve Kerr.
You are about to hear
Okay,
Steve Kerr
right.
because after the game was over, Steve Kerr, who at one point in that video, they show him on the sideline, and he has got a look on his face. When I say slack jaw, I mean dude's jaw is around like the middle of the zipper on the quarter zip, like aghast.
You mean like
All right.
the Mummy?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
you know how in the old cartoons, there was the wolf at the table and the bombshell would come out to sing a song laying on top of the piano, and the wolf's jaw would drop down and hit the restaurant table, and then his eyes would pop out and he would make the awooga sound. It was that. That's what Steve Kerr looked like. Like he looked like he had just seen Jessica Rabbit make her debut on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he looked like. So he goes into the post-game press conference, and Steve Kerr sounds like this.
Ball situation, 80 feet from the basket with the game on the line. I've never seen that. I think I saw it in college one time, 30 years ago. Never seen it in the NBA. That is, unconscionable. I don't even understand what just happened. Loose ball, diving on the floor, 80 feet from the basket, and you're going to give a guy 2 free throws to decide the game when people are scrambling for the ball. Just give them a timeout. Give them a timeout and let the players decide the game. That's how you officiate, especially because the game was a complete wrestling match. They didn't call anything. Steph Curry got hit on the elbow, plain as day, on a jump shot, just clubbed right on there, no call. So you've established you're just not going to call anything throughout the game. It's a physical game. We're going to call a loose ball foul on a jump ball situation with guys diving on the floor with the game on the line. This is $1 billion industry. You got people's jobs on the line. I am stunned. I am stunned. I give the Rockets credit. They battled back. They played great defense all night. But I feel for our guys. Our guys battled back, played their asses off, and deserved to win that game, or at least have a chance for one stop at the end to finish the game. And that was taken from us by a call that I don't think an elementary school referee would have made, because that guy would have had feel and said, you know what, I'm not going to decide a game on a loose ball 80 feet from the basket.
All right. So that was a lot of Steve Kerr going on and 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 on about how he doesn't think, the losing coach, doesn't think that foul should have been called. If I had to guess, I would make the sneaky guess that Ime Udoka, the head coach of the Rockets, would say, that was a great call, Bob. Great call, bud. 2 thumbs up. A+, 5 stars. Positive Yelp review for you. It, to me, kind of goes back to a conversation we've had a handful of times on this radio program. My dudes, if it's a foul in the first minute, it's a foul in the last minute. If it's a foul in the first 3 seconds, it's a foul in the last 3 seconds. We cannot change the rules of the game to create a more compelling finish. That is literally scripting the game. It is the same thing that has generated for me. It is the same game that the same concept that has generated for me this very, very frustrating scenario of the golden at bat being discussed in Major League Baseball. That is scripting the game. We want to create a world where a baseball team can just send up any guy they want to hit at any time. Well, we all know that if a coach has that tool at his disposal, when's he going to use it? In the 9th inning when they're down 1 and it's dramatic as hell. That's the whole point. So I would say to Steve Kerr, hey, man, it was a foul. Jalen Green had possession of the ball. I think it was Kuminga who dived on him. I think it was either him or, it wasn't Draymond, because Jalen Green's not in the hospital today. Because Draymond would have hit him with a Seth freaking Rollins curb stomp in that moment. So it wasn't him, but I think it was Kuminga. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. There was a foul called. It was a foul. Don't foul. Don't foul. I don't know what you want me to say, Steve. Don't foul. Oh, what they should have done is given him the timeout and given us a chance. Why? You fouled. Why should Houston not get the benefit of a foul and 2 free throws to put the game away? Why is it more important that your team, who did the foul, why is it more important that your team be given a shot at a defensive stop? If that team is shooting field goals at a 45% clip and free throws at a 70% clip, one of those makes it easier to win the game. So why should that team who did not do a foul, why should that team have their opportunity to win the game diminished for the sake of your team having a better chance to win? There was still a chance for you to win the game. Maybe Jalen Green goes down there, he bricks a couple of freebies, and now you've got 3.5 and the ball game in hand. Or maybe he makes one, and you've got 3.5 with a tied ball game and a chance to win it and avoid OT. Or maybe he goes down there and makes them both, and now you've got the ball down one with 3.5 left to play and a chance to do something special. You got Steve Kerr. You got Steve Kerr. You got old whiz kid of the three-point line, Steph Curry, don't you? Hadn't that been the entire thing about Steph is hitting 30-footers, 38-footers with no time left? Isn't that guy's entire thing? Run a play, Steve. Run a play to get Steph open from the timeline and let him be Steph Curry. Wouldn't that be entertaining as hell? Yeah. But this whole thing about how we got to make the game more entertaining, we have to bend the rules in the last 10, 15 seconds. We got to bend the rules in the last 10, 15 seconds so that we get more of an entertaining game. That is literally scripting the game. It is a conspiracy that sports fans, especially the NBA, has been fighting for 100 years. And here's Steve Kerr going, you can't call a foul. That is definitely a foul. You can't call a foul when it's late in the game because it takes away our chance to win. Yeah, that's how basketball works, Steve. That's how basketball works. That's why there are fouls. Every time you foul, you make it a little harder for your team to win the game. That's why they're in the game. That's why they're called penalties. They penalize you. They make it harder. What are we doing, Steve Kerr? And here's the thing. I don't dislike Steve Kerr. As a coach, I will be honest, I think Steve Kerr is the Brock Purdy of coaches. I think he's fine, and he was just gifted for a number of years with an exceptional roster of talent that probably with a guy like a Phil Jackson would have won 2 or 3 more rings than they did.
I think he's the most do you know who I am coach in the NBA.
Maybe so. But I'm not, again, I'm going to stand by my Brock Purdy comparison. I feel like I could have gone in that Warriors in their prime with Steph and Draymond and Clay and all these cats. I feel like I could have coached them to at least 1 ring, right? Just, hey, y'all go do Steph, Draymond, and Clay stuff. Let me know what you need from me. I'll get you some Gatorade at the next time out or whatever. I got you, dog. I think he's fine. But when I got the head coach coming out here and going, you can't call that foul because it makes it tougher for us to win. Yes, that's basketball, Steve. You of all people should know this. I don't know. Is it weird that this bothers me this much? Because I feel like it shouldn't. And maybe it should. I don't know. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to run to a break. Do want to let you know, the lovely Lulu Kesson will be joining us at 8 o'clock to talk Gamecock football today. But between here and there, you're going to get not 1, but 2. This is the first of Lonzo's Sports Flashes.
A lot of things going on last night, including awards handed out. Travis Hunter was awarded the Associated Press College Football Player of the Year with 26 of 43 votes, beating out Boise State tailback Ashton Jeanty and Arizona State running back Cam Scatterboo. Hunter was also named the Walter Camp Player of the Year, Chuck Bednarik Defensive Player of the Year, and Biletnikoff Award for Best Wide Receiver. Jeanty won the Doak Walker for Best Running Back, while Miami's Cameron Ward won the Davey O'Brien Award for Best Quarterback. Indiana coach Curt Cignetti won the National Coach of the Year award. South Carolina defensive end Kyle Kennard won the Bronco Nagurski Trophy as a top defensive player. Tune in tomorrow at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. It's Furman versus SC State right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, Upstate.
December deals just dropped in Lowe's. Get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, take an additional $75 off every $1,000 you spend on select kitchen major appliances from Whirlpool, KitchenAid, Amana, and Maytag. Also, save $20 in the Craftsman VersaStack rolling tool chest. Now just $69.98. Lowe's knows deals. Valid 12/12 through 12/18. Not be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details and qualifying items. While supplies last.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at Hims. I've helped many guys with ED in my 12 years of practice. But now you can get world-class care for ED 100% online by going to Hims.com. So what are you waiting for?
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy.
Looking for the perfect Christmas gift for the golf lover in your life? The 2025 Upstate Golf Cart is here, and it's just $50 for 6 rounds of golf and 6 of the best courses in the Upstate. Order today at upstategolfcart.com. That's upstategolfcart.com. The perfect stocking stuffer.
The dogs and cats at Greenville County Animal Care are just waiting to meet their forever family. We have free Pets for Vets program and hold free adoption events regularly. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn about adopting your new forever friend.
Do you know the most important factor in your company's success? It's your people. They are the heart of your business.
You ever notice that if someone is being goofy or silly or just having a good time, sometimes people think that it's artificial, brought on by some drug or some drink or something. Sometimes people are, and I've been accused of this all my life, goofy, silly, loony. That is my normal state. I have to contain it. It's not easy. It's not. If you've ever seen the really old Bugs Bunny cartoons, when he was just kind of stretched out and Bugs Bunny was everywhere. Those old cartoons, that's me inside every day.
You see the promo for the Daffy Duck Porky Pig movie?
Mm-mm.
It's a Daffy Duck Porky Pig team up movie, but it's very Ren and Stimpy, like very Ren and Stimpy. I'm super interested. A lot of butt jokes. At one point, Porky and Daffy are working on a pipe outside, like plumbing, and Daffy's feathers are down, so he's got plumber's crack. And he makes a Porky Pig joke about how Porky wears a shirt but no pants. It's good. Yeah, baby. Welcome in. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back. Good to have you. Rob Brown, the great Malonzo with you. This lovely Upstate Friday AM. Got a lot we're going to get to, a lot we're going to talk about on the radio program today. And we want you to be a part of that. And there are multiple ways for you to do just that. You can jump at us on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. You can check in on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show because I am a creative branding genius. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. You can get everybody up in the hizzle at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. And you can get at us on the Ray Memorial Hotline. That one's simple. You go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY. You download it on all of your digital devices. And once you do, you can send us a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline that we will play on the air. It is a wonderful little tool that is at your disposal 24/7, 365 days per year, day or night, rain or shine. It doesn't matter. Send us what you got, like Dan did.
Out in the mid-Texas town of Austin, I fell in love with a burnt orange steer. Hooking and stomping a striped orange tiger, they put a final into its year. After that match, I don't care what happens, as long as justice is served. I can go on and think about next year, knowing Dap weenies get what they deserved.
Yeah, Lonzo, I do country, real country. Dan out.
I thought that was Marty Robbins for a second. Got a regular Marty Robbins over here.
I'm curious. I've been thinking about this since yesterday. By the way, excellent job, Dan. Especially, I mean, I'm going to enjoy that. But where's he recording that at? Is that like the restroom at Buc-ee's?
Great question.
I mean, the acoustics in there are a certain way that makes you think that maybe he might be in.
I'm going to go with a voice like that, vocal range like that. I'm going to bet you $1 to a donut says Dan's got some sort of studio set up at the crib. I'd be willing to bet you. I got a studio set up at the crib because I do this from that place all the time. And so when I jump on, like if I'm going on an interview from the house, when I do the BetMGM Tonight interviews, or when folks in other markets asked to have me on, when South Carolina was making a run at the playoffs, I did like probably 6 or 7 different interviews on different local stations around the country, talking about the Gamecocks. I will use like Google Voice, and I'll use my computer for the phone call so that, I provide them better audio than just, sitting on my cell phone. I bet you Dan's got the hookup. The point here is the Ray Memorial Hotline. You do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. You want to say some potty mouth words, as I've heard it's called? Go on. I got a beat button. I'll use it. All right. Have some fun on the Ray Memorial Hotline. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. This thing got set up. I was super pumped. I'm like, yo, this is going to, without a doubt, turn the Armada into even bigger characters on the show than they already are. And we're getting a couple. I know it takes some time to build up some momentum. I know most of you have real life going on. 30 to 60 seconds, and you might become a radio legend like Dan the Superfan Man, who has become, as of right now, without a doubt, hanging on to the Ray Memorial Hotline championship title belt as it stands, until someone steps up and sends me a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline to dethrone Dan the Superfan Man and take the belt from him.
You know what I'm disappointed about? I mean, because I get that some people are a little worried about coming on the air, especially dealing with Rob, who can be abrasive,
standoffish at the least.
Very, very much so. But I think you should get on this thing and tell us why you don't pronounce the T in Clinton. Because I mean, listen, there's some people out there. By the way, congratulations to Clinton.
I was going to say.
Congratulations to Clinton for winning the state championship. Clinton did that. But why not get on there and explain to us? You know what? Have your teachers, because as we're told, the teachers have them come on and explain how they teach the kids to not say T's, because there was a clarification that they do teach them to not say the T's. So maybe come on that and tell us.
The Ray Memorial Hotline. Here's how it works. You go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, download it on all of your digital devices. Go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the heart button so it's right there every time that you open the app. And when you go to the Fan Upstate page, there's a little rectangular button with round edges on the side. It says leave a voice message. You do that, you got 30 to 60 seconds. Actually, you really got 1 to 60 seconds. We want it to be 30, so it's, good. You got 1 to 60 seconds. You can just jump on there and leave a message that says Rob Brown, and I'll probably play it.
That'll take you about a second.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you can just leave a message that says Rob Brown, the Rob Brown Show, whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Or you can be like Rob Brown.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
Have at it. All right. Have some fun. That's why it's there. The Ray Memorial Hotline available only on the Odyssey app. All right. It is 7:07 in the AM portion of the day, meaning you're getting up and at 'em. Maybe you're having that first glass of coffee, sitting out on the back porch, reading the newspaper, listening to the Rob Brown Show while you get yourself mentally prepared for the strenuous Friday. Got to get down on Friday ahead of you.
Outside.
I got a little space heater for the back porch.
That's why I said I hope it's a heated porch.
A little space heater.
Because I don't
got the fire pit a little early in the AM for a bonfire, but
unless you're
out there from last night, you're still sitting by the bonfire.
Could be.
Which case, you're living the high life, my friend.
Good morning.
Either way, you got to know what the hell's going on in the world of sports, and that's what we're here for. That's why we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "What in the wide world of sports is going on here?" Break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. What a slapper of a song. There's no more storytelling songs anymore. Like that genre of storytelling songs is just gone.
That host
Mr.
song,
Brightside.
that ho song that you've been singing a bunch. That's telling a story. That ho song.
That ho song?
The ho song. Yeah.
The ho song.
I think it was some country artist.
You mean Hot to Go?
Yeah, that's a ho song.
HOTTOG. It's not a ho song, first off. Second off.
Yeah, it is. You acknowledge that later on when you started talking about the lyrics. That's telling a story. That's telling a story of promiscuity and looseness, right? That's a story. It's still a story, dude.
First off, ladies as pimps too, go on, brush your shoulders off. All right? Let my girl Chaperone live. Let her live.
Wait, so she's a pimp
if
also?
If she's HOTTOGO,
so not only
who are you to judge?
Not only is she a hoe, but she pimps out other hoes.
Judge not lest ye be judged.
You said that there are no stories being told in songs, and that sounds like a story.
You know
to
what
me.
I mean by a story?
Right.
I'm talking about a guy rolling into a cantina somewhere in a Mexican border town, falling in love with a raven-eyed beauty, and then being hunted down by her outlaw better half, lesser half, whatever you want to call him, having to run for him an entire posse with guns ablazing, only to feel that hot metal enter the side and have to say, Felina, goodbye. That's a story, man. That's a saga. You're there. You can smell the gunpowder from the 6 shooters in the air as this man feels his blood and his heart spill out at the same time.
You can't smell the hose in that song. From
all right, I'm done with you.
12-6
winner. Item number 1. 12. I can't believe Lonzo has said hose on the radio like 9 times. 12-6 Rams over the 49ers last night. LA improves to 8-6 and are now a half game back. Oh, you're the worst. A half game back in the NFC West. A game in which there were 18 points and 0 of them came off of touchdowns. Still, I'm gonna argue until I am blue in the face. It's actually a good football game. No touchdown scored. Actually a good football game. 2 coaching staffs that are excellent coaching staffs. 2 teams that either are or have been and are recovering from being exceptionally banged up because, hey, it's the NFL. It is the definition of attrition. It is a good game. Doesn't look that way on the scoreboard. when you got one kicker going 4 for 4, Josh Carley, gnarly Carley, going 4 for 4, and on the other side, Jake Moody going 2 for 2, and that's all the scoring. But it was a good game for what it was. Anyway, the Rams are the Rams good? Are the Rams good or not good?
They're good enough to win. Good enough to win the NFC West.
They are. I mean, they beat the Bills last week.
They did.
But then they turn around after putting up 44 on the Bills. They put up 12.
Hey, maybe the Bills aren't as good as you thought they were. Maybe.
Listen to the hopes and dreams over there of a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Maybe the Bills aren't good. The Bills are good.
What? The Bills have never beat Kansas City in the playoffs. Why is it hopes and dreams?
Because the law of averages says they got to get you at some point, right? Just
Do
law of
they?
averages.
Do they?
No, probably not. We'll see. Item number 2. This was an item yesterday because we thought it was going to happen. It's an item today because it did indeed happen yesterday. Bill Belichick officially introduced as the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heel football team. They had to go through the whole board of trustees meeting in order to get him signed and official, and they did just that, officially replacing the 73-year-old Mac Brown is the 72-year-old Bill Belichick, and now we know the compensation package for the 5-year deal that will run through December of 2029. It is worth $10 million per season, a $1 million base salary, and $9 million in supplemental income. The first 3 years of the deal are guaranteed. Hoodie could also receive up to $3.5 million per season in bonuses tied to regular season wins, ACC championship game appearances and victories, and postseason appearances. He gets another bonus for ranking in the final CFB poll. He gets another bonus for ranking as a coach of the year, and he gets another ranking for the team's academic standing within the conference. If Hoodie decides to leave the school early, he will owe $10 million worth of buyout back to UNC. That is if he departs before June 1 of next year. After that date, the buyout drops to just $1 million a year. And here's an answer directly to the question that was asked yesterday by the great one, Bubba Cunningham. Bubba, the AD of University of North Carolina.
Bubba.
Who did the most Bubba thing ever in introducing Hoodie yesterday and came out in a suit, but with the sleeves ripped off the jacket. And for the record, I think that's great. I like a guy who buys in.
Come on, I think
it's great.
His name's Bubba.
He didn't even have to. He just had to pull an old jacket out.
He did.
He wasn't like, hey, honey, can you cut the sleeves off? No. He's like, let me just get in the back of the closet, get my Bubba jacket out. Cunningham told the Raleigh News and Observer yesterday, Lonzo, that Hoodie has permission to continue to make his regular appearances on the Pat McAfee Show and the Manning Cast as a coach at UNC.
Of course he does. The exposure that he's going to get between those two shows for the school, hopefully good exposure. It's a good move.
As Ed McMahon once said, you are correct, sir. Of course it is. This hire is exclusively about brand and exposure for North Carolina. All right? Exclusively about brand and exposure from the University of North Carolina. So it is unsurprising in any way, shape, or form, am I ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, that North Carolina would, of course, allow him to continue doing what he's doing out there at
also,
Chapel Bill.
Could be a thing. If he is successful, then we're going to see a bunch more NFL coaches moving down to the college ranks.
For sure. This was a point we brought up yesterday with Rashad, I think. But I think it was Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast, who joins us every Thursday at 8:40 to talk Panther football. We kind of had the conversation that one of the consequences of the new world of college football, or as Lonzo's called it many times, NFL Light, is that there comes a point. We've already got schools hiring general managers, right? Which is an NFL position. We've already got schools hiring general managers. How far away are we from a hell of a lot more NFL legendary coaches coming down to the college ranks? Because you kind of need that at this point, right? Like you kind of need to have somebody who understands the landscape the way that the college football landscape is currently being run. A guy like Hoodie, there are advantages to that. There are advantages to knowing not just how to recruit, but how to recruit from the standpoint of somebody that could potentially have millions of dollars of NIL money on the line. I don't think Zoe's wrong. If the Hoodie comes down and this works, regardless of why it works, I think it works because I think Hoodie is going to assemble an all-star staff, and I think if he does anything else, it's ludicrous. I think Hoodie comes down. I think he assembles an all-star cast, and I think if and when he does that, if he succeeds, then all of a sudden, I think a lot of schools, more like North Carolina's, less like Ohio State's, more like Wake Forest is less like Georgia. But I think a lot of those mid-tier schools will start making that play. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, finally, item number 3. Something that we're going to talk about later on in the show. The College Football Playoff Awards were last night, and Colorado Buffalo two-way standout superstar Travis Hunter took home a lot of hardware. 26 of 43 votes went to him for the Associated Press College Football Player of the Year, ordinarily an indicator of how the Heisman voting is going to go. So you can expect Travis Hunter's going to be taking home some heavy hardware from the New York Downtown Athletic Club coming up on Saturday night.
Miami Dolphins and wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. have mutually agreed to part ways.
That's interesting. Unsurprising, but interesting. Kind of thought Odell was going to kind of be the emergency guy for Tua, kind of be the let's just every now and then run away with the Odell's down there somewhere offense. But Odell is, as the kids say, a little long in the tooth.
Breaking news brought to you by
BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books with our friends at BetQL. And don't forget to listen to Bet for the Cycle every Saturday on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM and the BetQL Network, starring MLB legend Cody Decker. And also I'm there. Saturday noon to 4 on the BetQL Network. All right, let's do this. When we come back, item number 3, we'll carry it over. Your college football awards handed out last night. Let's talk a little bit about some of the fine football folk who took home awards last night. Anything we liked, didn't like? Is it a prognosticator of the Heisman Trophy celebration on Saturday night? Do we even care? And I got a bunch of texts, 71307. Start your text with Fan FAN. We'll read them on the air. We'll do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Lights.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Some college football hardware handed out yesterday evening. Your Chuck Bednarik Award winner was Travis Hunter. Your Biletnikoff winner was Travis Hunter. And your AP Player of the Year Award winner was Travis Hunter. Your Paul Hornung winner was Travis Hunter as well. My man was busy. He got his 10,000 steps in, going from seat to stage to stage to seat. This is also why, and I've said this a couple of times, this is all why he is going to win the Heisman Trophy. Because we have seen two-way players. We have seen two-way players. We have seen two-way players throughout the history of college football. I don't know that we have seen a two-way player that will do, that we have seen or will see again, a two-way player that will do what Travis Hunter will do. And I have made the comparison before. The reason I believe that is Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson, of course, at Michigan, is the only defensive back from the University of Michigan to win the Heisman Trophy. He did it in 1997. He was primarily a defender, but also played on offense, defense, and special teams. And he was celebrated for that. Travis Hunter played on offense, defense, and special teams and excelled at all of them. At all of them. Now, I do think it is fair to point out that the Colorado Buffaloes did not exactly have a who's who of a schedule this year. One ranked team on that list in Kansas State. Now, they had some teams that were ranked, teams like Utah. They had some teams that were kind of interesting, and teams like Nebraska early in the year. But it wasn't exactly a who's who schedule for Colorado this year. But when I go look at the numbers that Travis put up this year, 110 yards against Nebraska through the air, 100 yards through the air against Colorado State, 130 against Baylor, 153 against Cincinnati, 99 against Texas Tech, 125 against Kansas. The dude turned numbers as a wide receiver. He won the Biletnikoff Award for the best wide receiver in football. He also won the overall player of the year. He also won, I mean, damn near just about every award he was eligible for, to be honest with you. What this kid did as a two-way player this year was so good that he took what would have been, in my opinion, a guaranteed Heisman Trophy to Ashton Jeanty at Boise State University. He just took that from him. There is no chance on Saturday night that Ashton Jeanty's name is getting called. It's not happening. And it's because while Ashton Jeanty has done something we'll never see again, Travis Hunter did it in a way that we'll never see it again more. Like I don't know. My job is to go find ways to put this into words that make it pop more, and I don't think there's a way to do that. Somebody better at this job than I am, maybe later, will find a way to do that. I don't know of a way to explain to you what Travis Hunter did this year that can make more sense than just saying, literally just go watch any Colorado game. Any of the ones he was healthy in, go watch that game, because every game, he didn't make a play that was special. Every game he made multiple plays that were special. Now, there is one thing I am interested in, because this is a cliche that gets thrown around every single year. Did Travis Hunter have a Heisman moment? Did Travis Hunter have a moment this season that went, that's it? That's the exclamation point on the argument?
Yes.
Or were all of them that?
Yes. The season was his Heisman moment. I know that most people think it has to come down to that one moment they have that big game and they're doing the pose at the end and everything. And that's the thing that puts them on the map. But his entire season has been a Heisman Trophy moment.
I don't have an issue with that. If he was just a wide receiver, I think I could look and go, I don't really know if there was a Heisman moment that puts him past Ashton Jeanty. If he was just a defensive back, I don't know that there's a Heisman moment, like one individual big game, big spot, big time moment that you go, that's the moment that puts him past Ashton Jeanty. Because again, I think if there was no Travis Hunter this year, everything Lonzo just said about Travis Hunter, I would say is absolutely true about Ashton Jeanty. I would go, there may not have been that one moment. Maybe winning the Mountain West. I would say maybe the Mountain West championship game where he put up, 220 against UNLV. Granted, not a great team.
He just plays one position now.
And that's it.
You know.
That's it. Ashton Jeanty.
Boring.
I literally think with like 3 or 4 exceptions in my lifetime, maybe 3 or 4 exceptions, I think Ashton Jeanty wins the Heisman. I think like Tebow's Heisman year, like maybe Tebow outshines him. Jeanty last year, I think if he had this year last year, I think Ashton Jeanty probably beats Jaden Daniels for the Heisman Trophy last year. I think most years he probably wins the Heisman. And I can even say Jeanty had a Heisman moment. I think putting up the double century mark in a game that not just got Boise State a trophy as Mountain West Conference champs. It didn't just send Boise State to the college football playoffs. It got Boise State a bye. It got Boise State a bye in the college football playoffs this year. Texas said, I think, or said, Rob, your argument about Travis Hunter didn't play a good schedule can also be said for Jeanty as well. I don't disagree, Bo. And Bo sent that text. I appreciate it, Bo. Great to have you. I don't disagree with you at all. But again, look at the numbers, Ashton Jeanty. This is kind of the argument that I make. It's like a one-player argument that is similar to the argument we make about teams. Teams like Indiana. Indiana's the perfect example. Indiana played the most, arguably, weak schedule of any team to make the playoffs, with the exception of maybe Boise State. But Boise State played Oregon. Indiana didn't play Oregon. Indiana didn't play anybody but Ohio State. And they got blown out in that game. So why did Indiana go? Because it is not just about the strength of schedule that you play. To me, this, again, all of the playoff rankings are subjective. It's not just about who you play. It's about the results against who you play. If you go play a bunch of nobodies and you win all those games against nobodies by 3 points, I'm not going to look at you the same way as if you go play a bunch of nobodies, but you beat them all by 40, like Indiana did. Indiana played one good team. They got blown out. To me, they manipulated their offense at the end of the game to make it look like they didn't get dominated quite as much as they did get dominated by Ohio State. But outside of that, with 1 or 2 exceptions, they beat everybody by 100 points. So as far as I am concerned, Indiana played the weakest schedule in the playoffs with the exception of maybe Boise, but they beat the hell out of everybody. That's why I'm fine with Indiana being in. That is my subjective measurement. Yes, Ashton Jeanty, like Travis Hunter, played a weak schedule against of teams lined up against Boise State. But he dropped 200 yards on everybody. He dropped 200 yards on everybody. Right? Like he had one game where he only had like 140 yards and people were like, is Ashton Jeanty cooked for the Heisman? He only put up 140 and 2 touchdowns today. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not, yes, he ran against a lot of weak teams, but he put up 200 on them routinely. There have been, I think, 1 or 2 football players that have averaged more rushing yards per game than Ashton Jeanty. It's a stupid, ridiculous number. Like a stupid, ridiculous number. And I think there's something to be said for that. But what Travis Hunter did is even more impressive than that. Against the weak schedule, he didn't just dominate like Ashton Jeanty did. He was a dominant defensive back. He was a dominant wide receiver. He just won the award for being the best of both of those things. You know how impressive that is? If you didn't watch Travis Hunter play this year, forget how you feel about Dion, forget how you feel about Shador and Shiloh, forget how you feel about whether Colorado's hype is legitimate or manufactured. If you didn't watch Travis Hunter play this year, you cost yourself an opportunity at watching what I think is going to be a season that we are still going to be talking about 10, 12, 15 years from now. Colorado was a blown game against Kansas away from being in the playoffs with a bye. And if they got into the playoffs with a bye this year, there would have been talk about how Colorado is going to play spoiler for a lot of teams. All right, we'll come back here in just a minute. Got a few more things I want to knock out in this hour of the show. Lulu Kesson joins us at 8 o'clock on the dot to talk Gamecock football. Speaking of the Gamecocks, speaking of awards, Kyle Kennard picked up one last night. We'll talk about that with Lulu Kesson at 8 o'clock, all coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, dudes and dudettes, I'm going to hit the head real quick. Are you getting up? We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. No, I stepped in the office for a second.
So I had to add spots.
Was I gone that long?
I had to add a minute and a half. It was also a short break.
There it is.
Wasn't that short though.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, the Great Malonzo, and you. Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. Text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet me at the Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo Onward. Tweet everybody at the station at the Fan Upstate. And, of course, the Ray Memorial Hotline is open and available for you. Got one just a few minutes ago from Kane in Greenville. We'll play that for you coming up here in just a few minutes. So stick around for that and get yours in because coming up at 8:20, we will listen to what you have to say on the Ray Memorial Hotline. So if you got a hot take and you want to give it to us, now's the time to do it on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the Send a Voice Note button, and drop your 30 to 60-second voice note. And if it's a good one, you might hear it on the air coming up at 8:20 this a.m. All right, couple of texts that have come in so far. Texter says, can the Dallas Cowboys please draft Janty? I actually kind of dig that fit, to be honest with you. Again, the Cowboys were a team I took the under win total on. The Cowboys are underdogs to the Panthers on Sunday. A game we'll talk a little bit about later on in the show. They're dogs to the Cats, and part of the reason they are dogs to the Cats, I just realized I said dogs to the Cats.
Yeah, I'm sitting here just kind of
that's my bad.
Kind of mulling it over.
Yeah.
Just trying to, yeah.
That's my bad. Part of the reason they are dogs to the Cats is because the run game stinks. All right. Like this was I was cracking up coming into the season, with all due respect, Texter, to the people that were making the claim that Dallas was going to be a threat out of the NFC, because I asked the question over and over, how'd they get better? They weren't one last year. And if they weren't one last year, how did they get better? Are you going to argue to me that bringing back a washed Ezekiel Elliott to replace Tony Pollard is going to make you better? It's obviously not. You need a running back. And, you know, the question mark is, will Ashton Janty translate to the NFL? I'll tell you this, though. I don't know. I'll damn sure roll the dice on a kid who's averaging $179 a game at the college level. I don't care if he's doing it against lesser talent. If he can give me $179 a game against lesser college talent, I'll roll the dice that he can get me 80 a game against NFL talent.
Well, I mean, I thought Dak was supposed to be really good. Why would they be considering going out and drafting another quarterback?
Let's be real honest here. I know that you consider wins and losses a quarterback stat. They're not. Dak Prescott's been regular season good the last couple. Last year, he was a MVP candidate in the regular season. What is happening in Dallas right now, the fault of what's happening in Dallas rests on the shoulders of Jerry Jones and nobody else. Nobody else. So we'll see. Texter said, in all the Heismans given out, name someone similar to Travis Hunter. Is there one? Like, the only guy that I can even draw a comp to is Charles Woodson, because he played on both sides of the ball. But what Charles Woodson did on offense was negligible compared to what Travis Hunter does. I don't think there is one. This is why I've said what Ashton Janty did is a Heisman Trophy season 90% of seasons. Like, there's a couple. I think Tebow's season, he probably still would have beat Ashton Janty for a Heisman. Like, there's a couple of seasons in my lifetime that I think the guy that won it still would have won it, even if Ashton Janty did what Ashton Janty did. And keep in mind, a lot of the hype does stem from the fact that Ashton Janty got the Boise State Broncos not just into the college football playoffs, but on a bye. If we were in the BCS era, or if we were in the 4-team playoff era, Ashton Janty would still be talked about, but I don't know if the hype would be quite as high because Boise State wouldn't have been a playoff threat. If this was a 14 playoff, Boise State's not going. A lot of y'all would argue that they should. I would honestly argue with the loss they had in the regular season, I still would have taken them probably behind a 2-loss SEC team. And you know how I feel about that. But the fact that he got him in and got him a bye, to me, is why a lot of the hype comes. Travis Hunter did not get his team in. His team did not get a playoff bid or bye like Boise State did, and yet he is still the runaway. That's how good this kid was. So, Scotty from BMW, I can't give you a comp. I don't think there is one. Texter says, I think Hunter collected all of those awards as a consolation prize for Ashton winning the Heisman. If Ashton Jeanty wins the Heisman on Saturday night, there's going to be a lot of really mad bookmakers in Las Vegas on Saturday because they're going to be out some cash. Ashton Jeanty's not winning the Heisman Trophy, y'all. Now, if you want to make an argument, you can make the argument that Travis Hunter is going to win because the established, and you can say if you want, I actually don't agree, but the established media hype generated because of Deion, not because of the team. If this team was exactly the same team with the same results, but it was like just a boring standard football coach, would Travis Hunter have been hyped coming into the season the way he was? I don't know. What I do know is if Travis Hunter would have ended up at Florida State, where he was initially recruited and initially signed before he left when Florida State passed on hiring Deion Sanders, if Travis Hunter would have been a Florida State Seminole and put up the exact same numbers, I still think he would have won the Heisman. I still think he would have ended up getting that trophy on Saturday night. Let's see. Texter said, is this the Shohei versus Judge comparison for college football for Heisman? Yes and no. Yes and no. Here's the thing. This would have been an apt comparison if Shohei Ohtani did what he did this year as a DH and also won the Cy Young, right? Like if Shohei Ohtani did everything he did as a DH this year and he won the Cy Young Award as one of the best pitchers in the National League, then I think it's a more apt comparison because I would look at that and I would say, this guy as a designated hitter is one of the best DHs we have ever seen in professional baseball. If this guy was just a DH, he'd win the MVP, and he did. If this guy won the Cy Young Award, he'd be one of the best pitchers we've ever seen in baseball, and he is. If he did both of them in the same year, we don't say anymore he's one of the best position players, DHs, or pitchers in baseball. You know what we say if a guy wins a DH title and a Cy Young and he wins the MVP? Do you know what we say? That's the best baseball player on planet Earth. I've already said that about Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if Shohei's ever going to be the same guy. All right. Any pitcher who gets Tommy John, any pitcher who does not pitch for a full year in recovery, any pitcher who goes through what Shohei Ohtani has gone through, no matter how superhuman they are, there is a chance that he loses a little bit of pop when he comes back. Shohei Ohtani may not be a Cy Young caliber candidate when he gets back from elbow surgery. But if he comes back at 95% of what he was before he left with the elbow injury, and he's a Cy Young candidate, and he's MVP caliber. One of the most awful takes I've made this year.
And let me tell you, you don't know ball.
Was I told people at the beginning of baseball season, as did Cody Decker for the record. Cody Decker and I both made almost an entire hour out of do not bet Shohei Ohtani to win the MVP. Do not bet anyone to win the MVP as a designated hitter. No one's going to do that. And Shohei Ohtani did that because he was so good at it that you couldn't have that conversation. If Shohei Ohtani did what Shohei Ohtani did and also won a Cy Young, that's Travis Hunter. That's Travis Hunter. Not Shohei the DH, not Shohei the Cy Young candidate pitcher. Shohei who does both and is one of the best in the game at both. That's Travis Hunter. That's why that's there. Texter said, Rob, Deion has made Colorado one of the most hated teams, if not the most hated team in all of college football, but I've got to give it to what Travis Hunter has done this year. Hate it for Jeanty because it really should be his. Yep. Same here. Same here. I don't know how, if there's a way that we can celebrate Ashton Jeanty in the year he had. He won the Doak Walker Award for best running back in college football because, and I'm going to say this with some level of sophistication, Duh. Like, totes obvi, bro. Of course he did. He was the best running back in college football. It was not even a competition this year. There were some guys out there. Cam Skattebo at Arizona State. One of my favorite. Skattebo is a dude that I imagine a lot of you like because he's that old school bruising running back. Yeah, shut up. Nobody said it. Nobody said what you think I said. I didn't say that. He's that old school bruiser of a running back. He's fun to watch play. And on top of that, he's kind of got that confidence, that swag about him. I enjoy. And Arizona State, like I said, I think Arizona State may very well be a bit of a dark horse threat because unlike other teams, they're going to be able to lean on Skattebo a little bit. They're going to be able to say, hey, man, if it's tight, if it's a close game, if it's a tight game, just put it into the arms of Skattebo and let him do it. The dude can go, right? What Ashton Jeanty did is unquestionably the best running back performance we have seen in a hot minute. So I hope there's a way that we can celebrate what Ashton Jeanty did this year. I really do. I hope there's a way to celebrate it because it deserves to be celebrated. There was something special about it. But what Travis Hunter did this year is just absolutely unreal. Texter said, oh, how the Angels have wasted Mike Trout. Yeah, well, again, I agree with you. But also, while I respect Mike Trout's commitment and loyalty, I kind of got to victim blame a little bit here. My dude could have asked out at any point. Soon as the Angels let Shohei Ohtani go, Mike Trout should have followed him right out the door. Hey, Shohei, wherever you go, let me go too. Shohei, that's all I ask of you. Phantom of the Opera, Andrew Lloyd Webber. See, I'm not just working any given lyric into the show. I'm cultured too. Texas said, Rob, Hunter somehow not a Thorpe Award finalist. Yeah, that one was kind of interesting. I don't have an explanation or justification for it. I agree with you entirely. Texter said, Rob, who was Ray? Was he a P1 listener?
Maybe. I mean,
he absolutely was.
He commented enough to where you probably would have to say yes.
He absolutely was. For those of you who don't know who Ray was, for the namesake of the Ray Memorial Hotline, Ray was I'm going to say listener and feel comfortable doing so. Ray was a listener who for a long time, like years, would text the show and tell us stick to sports whenever Lonzo and I would go down the rabbit trail one direction or the next. Years. And then one day, Ray sent me an email, a long email, like a couple of paragraphs, where he got into great detail about why I suck at my job. Very long. I read it as a long, dramatic performance on the air.
It was well done. It should have won awards.
I agree with you entirely. Long email about how much I suck at my job. And then, and he kept on texting for a little while after that. And then one day, Ray disappeared. Ray left us. Ray departed. And when we were kicking around theories one day about what may or may not have happened to Ray, we just went ahead and made the assumption that Ray died. Ray's obviously dead. That's the only reason that Ray just stopped telling me how much I suck at my job in my life every day was that Ray died.
As amateur coroner on the program, I have declared Ray is dead.
Yeah, Ray's dead. So Ray died. Is the only, obviously it's the only possible reality is that Ray died. And so because we have the hotline, this hotline, this voice message hotline that was set up for us, and I have made it a deal. You guys can say whatever you want about whatever you want. It is yours to do with what you please. Obviously, We 0% expect people to stick to sports. Ergo, the Ray Memorial Hotline. It is a tribute to Ray. Texter said, long live Ray, stick to sports, Liberob. I mean, maybe. We'll see. You know who is going to stick to sports, at least for the next 60 seconds? 52 of the next 60 seconds? The great one, Lonzo.
Yeah, the other 8 seconds I'm talking about, you using the word ergo. The LA Rams took one step closer to claiming the NFC West with a 12-6 win over the 49ers last night. Kieran Williams, because if Karen Williams ran, that probably would be a big deal. For a 108 of the Rams, 142 rushing yards, and Puka Nacua, I can say that word, but I can't say the recorded 97 through the air. His kickers were the only players who recorded points with no touchdowns scored. Rams kicker Josh Carty going 4 for 4 for the win. Bill Belichick was officially named the new head coach of the North Carolina football team last night. The winner of 302 regular season NFL games and 6 Super Bowls follows his father, who was an assistant coach at UNCA in the mid-50s. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. It's Furman versus South Carolina State right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, Upstate. Striving to finish off the week good, Stephen. Or at least better. Just by comparison, I suppose, would be good. I gotta make a phone call.
go out there and do what they love to do and put on matches. It feels like a locker room full of men and women that are loving what they're doing and being part of this company. What's that like for you to be a part of that environment?
I wouldn't exist without AEW. I don't think any other place, any other wrestling company in the world would have let me do what I wanted to do and take a risk with me, just being different. I'm surrounded by people in the locker room that it really feels like a team. It feels like we're all trying to help each other out and we're all trying to beat each other up.
How about that moon this morning?
When I turned this way, did you come up this way?
Well, no, I can't.
On Woodruff. When I stopped at the green light, it was straight at the end of Woodruff. Freaking huge. It was beautiful. I almost pulled over to take a picture.
I saw it out of the trees in the corner
Yeah.
of my eye when I walked out this morning. I was like, what is it? Oh, never mind. It's the moon. Looks really close. We're all going to die. If the moon starts breaking up and I see it, do I turn around and go home or do I come to the station?
Scatterboo reminds me of Mike Allstott. That is correct. If the moon breaks up, we are boned because the water in the ocean is going to go crazy. Shanty doesn't completely forget how to be a running back under pressure, so it's not a comparison to Judge at all. Good message, Jacob. Well done. I hope Lulu. My bad. Can't start any hour of the Friday show off without a little bit of Becky Black. Can't do it. I hope Lulu Kessen's not a Yankees fan because Jacob Thornton just put on the live stream. Ashton Janty doesn't completely forget how to be a running back under pressure, so it's not a comparison to Aaron Judge at all. That's a good joke, Jacob. That's a good joke. I like that quite a bit. Let's head over to Columbia, South Carolina, and welcome in a young lady who ordinarily joins us at this time on Thursdays. But this young lady also traverses the country, has put tens of thousands of miles under the sneaks, covering the University of South Carolina Gamecock football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, women, swimming, and diving. Whatever team she's got to cover, she does it for the people. She is the lovely Lulu Kessen joining us here on the show. Good morning, Lulu. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on a Friday.
Hi, how are you? Happy Friday. Thanks for having me as always.
Of course. Thanks for first off, are we feeling better? Are you back to real life?
Slightly. I'm getting there for sure.
Good enough. Day at a time. You got the weekend. No college football this weekend, Saturday, Lulu. So sleep. You have our full permission to take the day off, stay in the PJs. All right, get you some hot cocoa, watch a Lifetime movie, and relax a little bit.
Sounds good. I'll take advantage of that.
All right, let's talk a little bit of Gamecock football here with Lulu Kessen on the Rob Brown Show. And the Fan Upstate, obviously, we had our selection show for the college football playoffs this past Sunday. Lulu Kessen and the Gamecocks left out of the playoffs. That was my prediction, and it's unfortunate because I think if you change the outcome of any one of the three losses that South Carolina took inside of one of the top 10 most difficult schedules in college football, I think South Carolina gets in. They are just outside. They do end up in a relatively prestigious bowl, taking on a pretty good Illinois team in the postseason. But what's the mood around this program? I know that obviously there's some disappointment. There's some letdown for not making it, but I've also heard a lot of, hey, listen, this team's going to be special next year. A lot of guys that were questioned about going into the portal have already committed to running it back. What's the attitude around the locker room right now?
I think vibes are really good and things are really high. South Carolina really wanted to play in the Citrus Bowl. Obviously, we don't know the exact dynamics of how it played out in terms of the Citrus Bowl ultimately choosing South Carolina, but it is fair to say that they had Ole Miss and Alabama as potential options, and they went with South Carolina, and I think South Carolina takes that. they understand the prestigious element there, and they're really, really excited to go to Orlando and play in the Citrus Bowl. And I think that's outweighing any potential disappointment that's kind of lingering from missing the playoffs.
Lulu Keston from the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. So let's talk a little bit about what next year looks like. And I don't want to put cart before proverbial horse here, Lulu Keston. But again, this is kind of a very interesting time. We had early signing period that came to its conclusion last Wednesday. We obviously have the transfer portal open now. Do we have any names from either of those two dates? Is there anybody in the recruiting class that jumped off the page? Is there anybody going into the portal that's being discussed around Columbia?
I think the biggest thing right now for me that I'm looking at is the quarterback situation. And I know that kind of might be like, how can you say that when you have LaNorris Sellers? Yes, South Carolina has LaNorris Sellers, and I would argue that he's, the present and the future of this program for sure. Now he doesn't have a dependable backup because Robbie Ashford went into the portal. And not saying that I was surprised. I never fault a kid for wanting to play, but I definitely think it's a loss for South Carolina because what Robbie brought in that backup QB position was SEC experience. He came from Auburn, and then even behind him in Davis Bevel, he came from Oklahoma, but he also played at Pitt. Those were two veteran guys who bought into the South Carolina program, didn't really mind. I mean, I can't say how much they actually cared about not starting, but they clearly stuck around long enough this year. I mean, Davis is out of eligibility, but my point being, South Carolina doesn't have a dependable backup option behind LaNorris right now. Dante Reno's a true freshman. Jimmy Francis is a walk-on, and then they have Cutter Woods, who's a class of 2025 signee, and Beamer spoke incredibly high of him. But what I'm really kind of looking at in the portal right now, among other things, is, okay, how is Beamer going to recruit a quarterback that he's basically recruiting to be a number two, but who also might be able to play depending on the scout, and because Robbie played, because LaNorris is a mobile quarterback who kind of gets banged up. There's a lot of elements there, and that's definitely a hard position to recruit, I think, which is why I'm kind of thinking about it more, because it's not like, a wide receiver or a linebacker, which South Carolina needs, and he can say, oh, you can come play at a great SEC program. It's like, hi, if you're willing to be a bench warmer, but you also bring experience, because my current QBs don't have any college experience. There's so many elements there, and I imagine it's difficult when going into the portal and thinking about that.
Lulu Keston joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Let me ask you this, and this is just a college football opinion question, Lulu. So go as deep or not as deep as you want to with this one. You mentioned LaNorris. You mentioned the concept of having a backup. Obviously, you go back to that LSU game where LaNorris got knocked out. You talk about, man, if you get LaNorris back, you probably win that game. If you have a backup quarterback that maybe had the opportunity to gain some more experience in a high pressure situation, maybe you got a shot. Do you think that a team like South Carolina, if the worst was to happen and they were to go down a starting QB next year, do you think that they have the depth if LaNorris Sellers was to miss extended time to take a team that a lot of folks are expecting to make a run at least at the playoffs next year and survive?
Truthfully, I want to say yes, but it's so difficult with who South Carolina is losing on defense, because I think an element of why South Carolina was so good this year when LaNorris was struggling, whether that was he was out for the whole game with an injury or just struggling through some growing pains on offense, was the fact that South Carolina's defense kind of had his back. And, Shane Beamer's losing just fundamental aspects of his veteran defense next year. So I think that's maybe why, not that my anxiety matters at all, but why my lingering anxiety is thinking about the quarterback situation is because I'm sort of South Carolina may not be good enough next year right now on paper. And again, this is me understanding that Shane took, Kyle Kennard and Demetrius Knight, names out of the portal that no one believed in and turned into, Lombardi Trophy finalists. Like, I understand what Shane is capable of doing. Just looking at it right now, I think it's a red flag, or at least a yellow flag, that Lenoris could potentially not have anyone behind him if something were to happen, because I don't know if South Carolina is strong enough on paper in other areas to make it okay if, say, a Dante Reno or a Cutter Woods was sort of like figuring out the college game while South Carolina was playing.
Lulu Kesson here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, as we're kind of doing a bit of a post-mortem on the South Carolina Gamecocks season. Of course, it is award season, Lulu Kesson, and Kyle Kennard picked up the Bronco Nagurski Trophy last night, which is very impressive. The young man, an edge rusher out of Atlanta, Georgia, and a senior who, if he wants, has the opportunity on New Year's Eve to take on the ILL Illini of Illinois. Talk to me about not just Kyle Kennard, not just Dylan Stewart, but towards the end of the year, this defense really started to look progressively. You started about week 6 talking about the growth of the defense, specifically the defensive backs. We all knew what the defensive ends were, but just your kind of end-of-year review on what the South Carolina defense turned into, because all the talk was about Lenoris, all the talk was about Rocket Sanders, all the talk was about the skill guys, but the defensive side of the football bailed that offense out of a couple of spots, including in that Clemson game.
Totally. And I think Clayton White deserves a lot of credit. I think Sterling Lucas deserves a lot of credit. What the defense has done overall, game after game, was incredibly impressive on a general scale. I think, I'm talking to Shane Beamer this afternoon, and part of the conversation that I'm going to have with him, I imagine that's going to be kind of about just how do you figure out what a person is like in a 24-hour conversation, in a 24-hour period out of the transfer portal. Like, how did he know that Demetrius Knight and Kyle Kennard were going to be people and players that could impact the defense in such a positive way? And, it's both of them. It's also, I think, the kind of ability that, Debo Williams and Nick Emanwari and Alex Huntley and Tonka and TJ, like, they all have. But I think what's impressive about the group is that they didn't care that, Kyle Kennard and Dylan were coming in as these two names that weren't part of the struggle last year. They weren't like, oh, like, you're not true elements of the program. Like, everyone bought into the same mentality this year, and everyone was clearly so committed to a culture of dominance and winning, and whatever, Clayton White was saying in the locker room, people clearly on that defense respected it enough to go out there and execute so consistently.
We are speaking with Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News. She joins us ordinarily on Thursdays, a little bit under the weather yesterday, so kind enough, gracious enough to take some time on a Friday morning to do just that. This bowl game, Lulu, we've had the conversation a couple of times on the show. We're going to do it again later on this morning about bowl games and whether they really matter or not. Do the fans care anymore or anything like that? And I've made the argument plenty of times, like, the bowl games don't really mean anything. It's nice for the players who maybe didn't get a ton of time to play in the regular season. They get a chance to dress out and probably get some snaps with a lot of the big guys sitting out or whatever. I think for a lot of the fans, like, it's a nice little exhibition send-off to the squad, especially when you had a year like South Carolina did this year. But really, for these teams, it's more about the 17 practices and a paycheck that goes into the school's coffers at the end of the year. What's the mentality and prep getting ready for the bowl game for South Carolina at the end of the year?
So the funny thing is that yesterday I was talking to my cousin. My cousin's a 5th grade teacher, and she asked me to come in and like talk about my work and everything because they were learning about journalism. And I had to try to figure out how to explain a bowl game to a bunch of 5th graders. And I was like, it's kind of like a really fun game where like the vibes are really good. And honestly, like, I think there's arguments for like, oh, does a bowl game count or do fans care? I think it depends. And I'd argue that's why the Citrus Bowl went with South Carolina over Alabama. I think they recognized that Alabama fans, it was much, it was more raw at that point that they didn't make the playoff. Like Alabama didn't know that they weren't gonna get in until Sunday morning, whereas South Carolina basically had a week to prepare. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Citrus Bowl was like, okay, South Carolina fans are a lot more passionate. Let's bring them down to Orlando instead. So I think with this specific bowl game, I mean, it'd be a different story if South Carolina is playing even in the Gator Bowl again or potentially the Music City Bowl. Like, I think Shane Beamer's group was going to come out prepared regardless. I think he holds all of his players to a really high standard. And he said, like, we're going to handle this playoff snub the right way. There's a wrong way to handle it, and there's a right way. And I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, South Carolina might have some players who opt out, but especially if they don't have a ton and they're playing with the majority of their team from this year, like, they kind of have to put the money where their mouth is. And, like, I understand that it's a different dynamic, but it's like if they're so upset about wanting to make a playoff game, then go out and end the season with the 10th win and become the fifth team in program history to do so.
Lulu Kesson joins us here talking Gamecock football as we get set for the New Year's Eve contest between the Gamecocks and Illinois. Real quick, Lulu Kesson, before we jump over there, I wanted to ask you about Dawn Staley's Gamecock basketball team. I know there was a little bit of a misstep there, and oh my goodness, stop the record. They dropped from 1 to 3. The Gamecocks have kind of bounced back a little bit. Can you kind of, as we kind of start to shift over to basketball season, moving towards the end of bowl season, can you kind of tell me a little bit about where the Lady Gamecocks are standing right now?
Totally. And I honestly think that I'll be annoying and say that I called it, that the UCLA loss was kind of necessary and that they needed just a reset. And man, did South Carolina look good on last Sunday at this point. Yeah, all the athletes have like a little break right now because of finals. So South Carolina, they play on Sunday, but they haven't played since last Sunday, the 8th. And they just dominated TCU, a team that was ranked 9 in the AP poll and 13 in the USA Today poll. Like TCU, a team that has a 6'7" center and one of the best guards in college basketball, or at least at one point Haley Van Lent was. They only scored 9 points in the second and third quarter. Like, I don't know how that happens without it was just an absolute defensive clinic. And South Carolina, to sum it up, their offense took a minute to get started this season. And now they're really clicking, and players that were in some shooting slumps like Raven and Malaysia are coming out of them. And it just seems like they're a different team the last even 3 games than they were the first 4 or 5.
We are going to be talking a lot more basketball, men's and women's, with Lulu Kesson as we start to shift out of bowl season. Of course, we'll keep you abreast of all the news and information taking place with Shane Beamer's team up until that New Year's Eve game. And then it's time to move over to the hardwood. Lulu Kesson covers the Gamecock Athletic Department for the Greenville News. You can find her on X at Lulu Kesson, KESSIN. Lulu, I appreciate it. I hope you keep feeling better, and we look forward to having you back next week, rested up and 100%.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys always, and have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much. Lulu Kesson from the Greenville News. Again, on X at Lulu Kesson, a must follow if you're a Gamecock sports fan like at all. She's fantastic. All right, when we come back, it's an adjusted version of the Audio Blitz, bit of a short segment, so we'll get through a couple of things. Xavier Legette has worked with Fanatics, Lonzo, to establish a set of greeting cards where he will say the greeting in a recorded version. Everyone in my family is getting a Mercury from Xavier Legette this year. The man's my hero. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Step it away for 30 seconds, guys. Don't go anywhere. All right. Anybody wants a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline? Now's the time to send it, kids. What's today? The 13th?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be frustrated by having to choose your health plan on your own. South Carolina Blue is here for you. Located on Woodruff Road right here in Greenville, Casey and his team.
Wild as the West Texas wind.
Time is running out to secure your coverage for January 1st. Schedule your no-cost appointment today at scbluehereforyou.com. The magic of Christmas comes alive at the Upstate Holiday Light Show, open now through December 31st at District Park at the intersection of 123 and 153 in Easley. Start a new Christmas.
So I did not go see Craven the Hunter.
No? Are you
I
going to?
I don't know. Sometimes when you get that feeling, it's like, you know. Now, if he would have had a cold popcorn bucket, maybe I don't want.
That would have been it.
Yeah, maybe, because I'm addicted to those right now. So maybe I should just go see Nosferatu, but I gotta wait till the Christmas.
Not a horror movie guy, but super interested in that.
That movie's been done so many times. Well,
I know, but this one looks like it's got potential to be different. Oh, baby.
we'll have a lot of days off, so I'll be able to go during the day if I want to. On Christmas, though, I'll be watching football because Christmas is now for the NFL.
It is.
I already saw it, Mac. I really loved it. I thought it was really good. I would definitely recommend it. Not for kids, though. Teenagers, yeah, but not little kids, probably. Because of language and subject matter. Still, it wasn't that bad, if I recall. That's absolutely what they did, James. Like, yeah, NBA, you think you own Christmas? No, you don't. The king come in and show you how it's done. King, go home.
Sincere question. Does anybody care about bowl games? I do. And again, I've also made it known that I only care about them for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an opportunity to kind of see what next year's team is going to start to shape up to look like, right? You're gonna get a little bit of a vibe of some of the young guys, some of the new guys, some of the guys that are going to be coming in to be your dudes next year. And I think there's something to that. I think that is something that is probably more for the hardcore fans, right? I think that's something that's probably more for the hardcore fans, the same people that follow recruiting and all that. And then I think the bowl games matter for the teams that make them because of the extra practices and the check that you get. There's not a lot more to it than that, right? The extra practices, and for the record, I consider the bowl game one of the practices, just so we're clear. The bowl game's an exhibition. It's a practice. It's an opportunity for the young guys that you utilize those bowl game practices for to get them some reps, to send them out there and let them play a live football game. with live football circumstances. But I watch them for reason number 2, which is I know that on January 20th, I believe it's the 20th, we're going to crown a national champion. And once we crown that national champion, we go into hibernation. We are done with football at the collegiate level for 270 whatever it is days. We reset the countdown to college football kickoff clock at that many days, and we start ticking it down day by day, by day, by day, by day, by day, by day. And we have to wait a very long time. So for me, let's just call it what it is. I'm just a junkie trying to get that last fix is all I am. I'm just a junkie trying to get that last little taste. I am scraping the bottom of the barrel for whatever I can get. And again, maybe I learn some things, right? Maybe I learn some stuff. Maybe we do find out who South Carolina may be able to lean on next year as a reserve quarterback. LaNorris is a 242-pound tackle-breaking machine, but he's also the type of cat that runs into contact. And yeah, if I'm going to have my quarterback run into contact, I'd like him to be a 242-pound tackle-breaking machine. But this is football, my dudes and my dudettes. Sometimes even 242-pound tackle-breaking machines get a little banged up because on the other side of the football are 242-pound tackling machines. So like maybe you get a little bit of a read, maybe you get a little bit of a look-see, and who maybe shocks you, maybe steps in, has a great game, and you go, okay, we got ourselves a backup. There's going to be questions that have to be answered next year across the offensive line. Maybe somebody in these practices and bowl game practice, maybe they step up and you go, oh, that guy gets it. That guy understands. He's got a quick twitch. We can lean on this cat as an offensive lineman that can maybe reset the pocket for LaNorris Sellers at certain spots. I'm talking about South Carolina, obviously, because Clemson's bowl game matters a lot. It matters a lot. It is a chance at a natty. So I am interested in the bowl games in that capacity. But I wonder if we've kind of moved on past the spot where these games are what they used to be. Scratch that. We have definitely moved on past that spot. The bowl games used to be these big, prestigious events. They used to be not just an exclamation point on the season. They used to be a reward, and they used to be something that people hung banners about. But I also point out there also used to be 20 of them. Now there's 174 bowl games. Again, there's 2 this weekend. Lonzo and I had a big deal talking about them earlier this week. Quick, name me either of the 2 bowl games being played on Saturday.
One of them, South Carolina State is playing in.
Correct. Who are they playing?
I don't remember the name of the bowl.
Right.
But I don't care about the bowls that don't matter.
So that's my question.
Unless my team is playing in it, or one of my teams, or somebody I root for, or a team that I've heard of before. So the bowl games that matter start next Friday, a week from today.
That's my question.
And those bowl games I will watch. The other ones I will not, except for the one that South Carolina's in.
That is my question. Is this something that we look at? Is this something that we genuinely...
Have you always been, since you were a kid, someone who watched every single bowl game?
I don't know. I would say yes as a kid, because as a kid...
I mean, all right, since you became a sports fan.
Well, I've always been a sports fan. I would say as a kid, I think that there was a lot more emphasis placed on the bowl game. I think as a kid, there was a lot more prestige about the bowl games. I think as a kid, winning the bowl game was treated by the schools, by the coaches, by the players as another game. This is a title game for us. You used to celebrate Orange Bowls. You used to celebrate Citrus and Gator and Rose Bowls. And then, even though there were things like the Pullum Weed Eater Bowl, which I learned once, I guess was actually a real thing. Even though there were things like the Pullum Weed Eater Bowl, the bowls, the big bowls, were considered prestigious. These are things that the schools wanted to win, and they played their starters to go win the game as if it mattered. That doesn't happen anymore.
You know, and maybe I was spoiled to a degree because growing up in the shadow of Ohio State's stadium to a degree and close to downtown Columbus and everything, they always played in a big bowl, and usually and hopefully it was the Rose Bowl. And the Rose Bowl was a big deal a long time ago.
Sure. Again, I very much remember as a kid growing up, because I grew up in SEC country, I remember the Sugar Bowl was a massive event.
Did it mean more to you?
I think it meant about the same.
Okay.
You know, maybe a couple of percent more, but like roughly the same. The Sugar Bowl was a prestigious event. In fact, when I was a cheering, when the Sugar Bowl wasn't a natty, when the Sugar Bowl was not treated as the national championship, my dad would with regularity bring me and my little brother over to watch the Sugar Bowl. Didn't matter who was playing in it. He just took us to go see the Sugar Bowl because it was a game. It was a big game. It was a massive game.
So how did you pick who you rooted for?
I mean, whoever it ticked off more people to win.
Or did you wait and see who your brother picked and then you just automatically picked the other team?
No, I mean, my brother was an SEC guy growing up. My mother dropped him on his head as a child, and he was a Florida fan his whole life. So, you know, he was always an SEC guy, even as a cheering. I was not. I grew up an LSU fan, but I did not care about the SEC. So we used to go, we'd hop in the rig, and Pops would take us 4 hours west to go to the Sugar Bowl because it was prestigious. It was a banner that got hung. You would hang a 1992 Sugar Bowl champions banner in the stadium if you want it. Now, in years where the Sugar Bowl, up until now, in years that the Sugar Bowl was not a playoff or national championship game, like it was fun, but you know, you didn't see the best players on the team go out there and play. The guys that you knew were coming back as big-time players next year, they weren't playing. You were watching the guys that were on the roster all year that you didn't see play up until that point. This time you did. Do y'all care? Here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if you care or don't care. They're still going to do them because they still make mucho dinero for the people that are in charge, for the schools, for the athletic departments, for the television sponsors, for the television networks. They're not going anywhere. And so I guess this conversation, more than anything else, is really just about curiosity. I'm curious what these bowl games matter to you. South Carolina fans, are you all sorts of juiced up to take on the ILL in the, the Cheez-Its Bowl? Which, by the way, one of the most prestigious bowls, the Cheez-Its Bowl.
Better than the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and chances are when South Carolina wins, when Beamer gets doused with Cheez-Its, it's not going to nearly knock him out.
First off, it's not better than the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The Duke's Mayo Bowl is the most prestigious bowl game in existence. It is more prestigious than the national championship.
Do you have a flyer? Cult
you should
member?
hang.
Do you have a Duke's flyer cult member? Is that how that works?
You should have.
Do you spend
to
time
hang.
at the airport going, eat Dukes, eat Dukes?
You should want to hang a Duke's Mayo-shaped Duke's Mayo Bowl champs banner as the largest banner in any stadium of Duke's Mayo Bowl champion. That's just it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We do have to shift over to the National Football League as we approach, because that's all we got now. That's all we got. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
Don't make me reach for another bet. It's a lazy Friday.
Do you think Dukes would be allowed to Mayo Bill Belichick if he wins the Dukes Mayo Bowl? You think Hoodie would accept the Mayo bath?
I don't know. I get the feeling that their aspirations are higher than the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I'm just thinking.
I mean,
Yeah.
the list basically goes Natty, Duke's Mayo Bowl, everything else in that order.
I don't think that's how that works.
In that order, specifically and exactly.
Maybe for you and your ilk, for your people.
The Cordell and Cordell Traffic Cam shows I-85 still in pretty good shape through the upstate, southbound slowing now at 14 through Pelham, but there are no delays yet. Northbound 85 pauses as you pass through East Camp for a minute. Whitehorse is very slow for about a mile. Southbound from 123 down past Highway 81 Henderson Road. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, Greenville's look for the fan upstate.
Do you know the most important factor in your company's success? It's your people and their business. So how do you harness this potential? Inspire can help from recruiting and onboarding to employee development and retention. We'll help you build a stronger, more resilient organization. See the difference the right approach to human resources can make, because how you HR matters. Find out more at Insperity.com/HR matters. This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Granger comes in.
Oh.
Granger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
You okay?
I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize.
Yeah, with NyQuil Vapor Cool. It's NyQuil plus a Russian Vicks vapors.
Wow.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil Vapor Cool.
NyQuil Vapor Cool, the vaporizer nighttime coughing, itching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks Vapor Cool drops. Use it directly. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. Welcome to Staples.
Help! My family's in for the holidays and I need gift ideas.
That's why we're here. Staples has amazing deals on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it.
Perfect! Have anything for Uncle Frank? I love him, but the guy is never quiet.
Noise-canceling headphones. For you.
You get it.
Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. Ends 12/28 in store only. From the Ingalls Market Studio, the
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
from the Philadelphia. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups, and the keeper of all things cool in the sports
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the fan upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you. Be a part of the show. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. That is the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-FANFONE. You can text us 71307 on the text line. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. You can tweet me at the Rob Brown Show. Tweet the great one at Lonzo One Word. Tweet everybody at the fan upstate. And most importantly, head to the Ray Memorial Hotline and leave your voice message. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the Leave a Voice Message button, and leave a voice message. This one comes from Kane. Kane took a minute out of his day to shoot us a voice message on the Ray Memorial Hotline from Greenville. Here's what Kane had to say.
Hey, Rod. This is Kane from Liberty. I'm suffering from a cold today, but I feel like a winner because Clemson is in the playoff and South Carolina is not. And I'm so happy about that. You guys have a great day. Saints suck.
So many things, especially right at the beginning, Rod.
Hey, Rod.
Kane, I sincerely want to say I appreciate you taking the time out of your morning to send Rod
This is Kane from.
a message. Thanks, Kane.
Hey, Rod.
Hey, Kane. And then the absolute and sheer audacity
Saints suck.
to throw a Saints suck on the end. I mean, don't get me wrong. I asked for it.
Is that an inaccurate statement?
No, not really.
Okay. I was just,
I'm a little heated this AM, Lonzo, because I found out last night that Derek Carr's not, well, we knew Derek Carr's not going this weekend. We're starting Jake
getting
Hayner.
some more Heiner. There he is, Heiner.
You know who it should be time for?
I'm not saying it.
Say it.
No.
You know who it's time for.
No.
What time is it, Lonzo?
I am not saying it.
What time is it?
I'm not saying it.
It's Rat Daddy time.
No.
How's the Rat Daddy not getting the start on Sunday? How are we not starting the Rat Daddy?
Maybe he's just not. He's just not ready.
So here's my thought. He got some time earlier in the season. It went, nah. Now we find out maybe because the team's not that good. It went man. Then it got benched. Maybe we get the Bryce Young treatment. Maybe he comes out there and he looks like a damn Pro Bowler. Coming off, a little bench, no pressure on the guy. Nobody chasing him down.
Saying Hayner's not going to win the South for you?
I'm not betting on it. I'm not betting on it at all.
I feel bad for you, Rod.
Kane, I want to say again, I appreciate your time.
Hey, Rod.
But it's Rob.
Hey, Rod.
Anyway, welcome to the Rod Brown Show. The Big Rod Brown Show.
How about let's just go Rodney Brown.
The Hot Rod Brown Show.
Or maybe Rod is short for Roderick.
Get a hot rod bod.
Maybe your real name's Roderick.
It's not. It's very clearly not that. Hey, let's play some audio, shall we? Chad Ochocinco, Shannon Sharp, and Deion Sanders. We're all together on the Nightcap pod. And sometimes the boys will be boys.
You know what I don't like? I don't mean to get off track, huh? And y'all chat, y'all stay with me now. When you go to the strip club and you stand in the back because you don't want to spend no money, but they still come stand next to you and try to ask for a tip when they come off stage. If I want to tip you, I'd have walked up here.
No.
But it make me feel uncomfortable, so I ain't been back.
I go get the wings. Madge, you gonna take care of Mad.
You ain't going there for no wings. You went there for the thighs. You might want the thighs, but there wasn't no wings.
And the legs. I like legs.
Yeah, you like a whole lot of stuff from what I hear.
Some really weird noises in that little bit right there.
That's your boy, Coach Prime.
That's who I thought it was.
Oh.
Yeah, he's older. So,
what can you say? I mean, for the record, Chad Ochocinco ain't wrong. Okay? I have been known a time or two in my life. I can say this now because my mom's in surgery right now, so I know she's not listening.
Wow, dude.
A time or two in my life, I may have been inside of a gentleman's club.
Like she doesn't know. You were talking about going to Atlanta to get some lemon pepper wings.
I know, but
come on.
that was going to get wings.
Was it? Okay.
Not breast, wings.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Not legs, wings.
But you decided it wasn't worth the money.
What? You wanted $50 to get in the door, and then I had to spend it on wings.
You had
I'm
to pay,
telling you, they
you
just
had
need
to pay
to
for
set,
parking too, if I recall.
They just need to set up an outside to go window, and then I'll get the wings. It's like $20 to park, $50 cover to get in the door, and then I still got to buy the wings. If I'm paying $50 to get in, you better have a wing buffet.
Hey, they might DoorDash. Did you ever check that?
Strip club buffet, not a great idea.
They might DoorDash.
They do DoorDash.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah.
So next time you're going to see a Braves game or something, you can DoorDash the wings.
Plan's already in effect.
Okay. All right.
The boys who back in what was it, July or whatever, we went over to the ATL for the bachelor party this year. We were gonna do the Magic City. That's when we learned it was $50 to get in the door, and there were like 8 of us. So we're like, all right, we're going on $400 deep just to get the boys in the club. No, I ain't doing that. And then one of the boys was like, think they DoorDash? But at this point, we had already gone and gotten food. So I think they DoorDash. We looked it up. They sure as hell do DoorDash. It ain't cheap, but they do DoorDash. So now, because the boys are talking about maybe we run it back next year, right? Like maybe that becomes a bro trip. Once a year, we run it over to the ATL, same group of dudes, for a little Braves ball. And we're like, all right, now we have to. We got to run it back next year. We're all going to meet in the ATL, same house, same weekend, same game, and we're going to DoorDash some Magic City wings. Because I think if you DoorDash the wings from the strip club, I feel like you're going to give a more unbiased review of the wings.
Yeah,
right?
because it's also proof that you just were going for the wings.
Yeah, because if I roll up in there and those wings are served to me by Chastity, right? Like all of a sudden,
Probably
it's
a
like
real name there.
you might be
Probably,
100%. There's
probably.
a Diamond, a Destiny, a Chastity, a Hope, like that for sure. And again, there may be one that tickles the old fancy, and I mean the metaphorical version of that. Stop being weird. You're gross, perverts. I'm saying, like, maybe you're a little biased if the young lady serving you the wings, maybe she's a little extra nice to you, right? You're like, oh gosh, these lemon pepper wings suddenly taste a hell of a lot better. If I DoorDash it into the house and they're delivered by Bill the DoorDasher, I'm a little less likely to be biased in my assertion of the wings. Am I right? You get me? You feel me?
Unless Chastity on her day off also DoorDashes. She could.
Got to make the money somehow. I ain't mad at no young lady getting the bag is all I'm saying. All right. Hey, Juan Soto was asked what his former Yankee teammates said to him during the free agency process.
You've been in touch with anybody from your former team, and can you share what those conversations with your now former team, the Yankees, and could you share what those conversations might have been like?
I haven't talked to any of those guys. Definitely, we talked to them through at the end of the playoffs, but after that, I make this process. I haven't talked to any of those.
My dog said, none you Yankees reached out. None of the Yankees decided to give me a buzz and maybe talk to me a little bit. None of them.
Well, he doesn't speak English, so
None of them.
They wouldn't be talking directly. to
Neither do
him.
half the Yankees. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's part of the game. So what you're telling me is y'all had for real a generational talent that was wavering back and forth about where he was going to play his baseball. The team he was literally already on, or the team right across town. The team right across town that was, going to make a bid that was going to be ridiculous. And you had this guy right there for you. You had this guy right there for you. And not one of you picked up the phone and went, hey, Juan Soto, we would love if you would stick around. We would love for you to remain a Yankee. Not one of you. That seems like bad management, because I'll tell you right now, even if I was Brian Cashman, if I was one of the fellas, you better bet your left butt cheek I'd have been on the horn with every Yankee, been like, hey, here's what you're going to do. What you're going to do is get on the phone. You're going to call our boy Juan, and you're going to tell him how much you love him, how handsome he is, how charming he is. Now, before you leave my office, you're going to do it right now. I'd have flooded that. That man wouldn't have had a single second of available voicemail time. Not one. And ladies and gentlemen, we wrap it up, as we probably will forever, or at least as long as he's in the game. Xavier Legette has teamed up with Fanatics to voice a series of talking holiday cards.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holiday.
Every year I make a gingerbread man and build them and keep little gingerbread high. You know, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. If I could do this in person, I would. But I don't have much free time, so this course seems to be the best option. Anyway, happy holidays from me and Fanatic.
Wow, that was amazing. The question is, though, I mean, will the people who you send the cards actually get it? I mean, I don't know.
We're going to find out because everyone in my family is getting a Xavier Legette talking Christmas card. The only thing I want different, I need two things. Number one, I need Xavier Legette to finish singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And number two, I need everyone to know that y'all do know if Xavier Legette meets Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, he's venison, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Like, you know,
yeah,
he's going to look at me like, ooh.
Serving him right up next to the raccoon.
Xavier Legette talking Christmas cards. Fanatics, just take my paycheck. You can have all of it. However much a paycheck buys in Xavier Legette talking Christmas cards, that's how much I want. Because I want to give these out forever and ever and ever until I die. All right? The only thing I need is XL to finish singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Because if I can get Xavier Legette singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer over this, it'll be the greatest sound that's ever happened. Could you imagine XL singing it to this? It would be the greatest Christmas. This is the greatest Christmas song ever made so far. But if we replace Stat with XL or had him sing maybe the greatest duo of all time, duet of all time, it might end Christmas. And just that we can't go any higher with Christmas.
We're about to have a 49er moment here. We're about to. Because I don't think I want to work anymore. I think I'm just going to get up and walk out.
Sing it, Lonzo.
I refuse to be a part of your AI.
Me higher to a place where snowmen sing. One more. Can you take me higher? Last line's yours. To a place where sleigh bells ring. And then just Xavier Legette saying Merry Christmas to end it?
Yeah, I believe in the artists. AI is ridiculous, and I refuse to support AI. I can't believe you're doing this.
I
And you're in
feel
a band.
the holiday spirit welling up inside me. And ladies and gentlemen, my gift to you.
What holiday? Halloween? I mean, because that's someone pretending to be Scott Stapp. It's not even someone. It's a robot. You're just a robot lover.
The holiday spirit fills my heart has grown 3 sizes this day. And my gift to all of you is the voice of Lonzo reading a sports flash.
Go hug a tree. Your holiday is Arbor Day. Travis Hunter was awarded the Associated Press College Football Player of the Year award with 26 of 43 votes, beating out Boise State tailback Ashton Jeanty and Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo. Hunter was also named the Walter Camp Player of the Year, Chuck Bednarik Defensive Player of the Year, and Biletnikoff Award for the best wide receiver. Jeanty won the Doak Walker for best running back, while Miami's Cam Ward won the Davey O'Brien Award for best quarterback. Indiana coach Curt Cignetti won the National Coach of the Year Award. South Carolina defensive end Kyle Kennard won the Bronco Nagurski Trophy as top defensive player. We all know who's winning the Heisman tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, tune in tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. as the Furman Paladins take on the South Carolina State Bulldogs. It's Furman versus SC State right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. Fan Upstate.
The IRS is hiring more staff and cracking down. Call tax relief helpers now to learn about our tax debt reduction programs and how to stop the collection efforts. If you're facing liens, levies, an audit, wage garnishment, or years of unpaid taxes, even if you're already in a payment plan, we can help. Through special IRS programs, you may qualify to have your tax debt.
So you're wrong, Mac. Put a side by side of him and early Roy Orbison, and you're going to see. It's uncanny.
So I went and found that guy's YouTube channel, the guy that does the AI songs. There's a bunch of really funny ones on there. But the first one I clicked on was Celine Dion sings in all 12 keys simultaneously. However, my best thing I found, more Christmas songs.
She hit the floor, the next thing you know, Shawty got
Low, 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 low.
So I'm guessing this is a rap song of some sort that I'm unaware of what it is. So what rap song was that?
Low.
Okay.
Shorty had them apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. She had the whole club looking at her. She hit the flow. Next thing you know, Shorty got low, 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 low. Them baggy sweatpants in the Reeboks with the straps. She turned around and gave that big booty a slap. She hit the flow.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Ralph America, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about soundproof. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue.bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the
There's the thing you were talking about, the day the earth blew up, Porky and Daffy together.
That's it. December 22nd, Mac, you bring up 90s emo. I'm going more of a grunge vibe. But
Roy Orbison, look it up.
December 22nd at Doc's Tavern right across the street. I'll even promo them because they're doing it. December 22nd is 90s grunge night. Here's the problem we have.
Your hair's way too short.
And by we, I mean I. The problem I have is that the only day I have to work that week is December 23rd. That's the only day. I have Monday. It's the only day. And it's a Sunday night. So do I go anyway?
Yes.
And just be like, you're getting the worst Rob Brown ever on December 23rd because it's the only day.
As long as we're getting silly Rob and not angry Rob, I'm good with it. Go.
There is no angry Rob.
Uh-huh.
Duh.
Hey, Rod.
The fourth and final hour of the Rob Brown Show, the fourth and final hour of the day, of the show, of the week goes now. It is.
This is Kane from Liberty.
Oh, I missed it. I forgot to reset it.
Hey, Rod.
The Rod Brown
You
Show.
say that? Tell me you did not just say that.
Saints suck.
What a day we're having. What a day we're having. We gotta be serious. I've got like 3 stick to sports texts so far this morning. All right, we gotta stick to sports here.
Really? When did we deviate?
We gotta stick to sports.
Everything has been sports centric.
Stick to sports. Hashtag stick to sports.
Okay, so you're just saying that to yourself because it's the final hour of the week on a Friday, and you might want to drift a little.
Senioritis is real, is all I'm saying.
You ain't no senior, boy. You're not even 40 yet.
12-6, the Rams knock off the 49ers last night. Brock Purdy sacked on the final play of the game. No touchdowns in this game. We had 6 combined field goals for a combined 18 points worth of, again, only field goals. I've made this. There's a couple of narratives out of this game for me. Narrative numero uno, Brock Purdy ain't that good. It just is what it is. I have been telling you for a year now, and some of y'all have said, Rob.
Let me tell you, you don't know ball.
But I do know ball.
So wait, the fact that he was Mr. Irrelevant wasn't a sign?
Go outside, nerd.
That is correct.
America.
As the legendary Chris Farley once said. He's not that good. The 49ers said, all right, we got a guy who's okay. How do you make a guy that's okay look good? How do you make a guy that's good look great? Surround him with exceptional talent, top to bottom, left to right, every position on the field. So they did. They went and got an Ayuk, and a Samuel, and a Kittle, and a McCaffrey, and a Juszczyk. They went and got everybody, and they said, we're going to surround this kid with exceptional talent. So they did. And then, one by one, the exceptional talent hath fallen. Christian McCaffrey is, all due respect, because I love Run CMC, cooked. Correct. I don't think you're seeing that guy come back. And if he does, not anywhere close to what he was last year. Brandon Ayuk, out for the year with a busted wheel.
Poof.
Deebo Samuel, out for the year with a case of the dropsies.
Poof.
Kyle Juszczyk has effectively become worthless if you don't have McCaffrey behind him as the other threat. That is correct. And when all of those things have happened, defending George Kittle becomes, I don't want to say easy, but I want to say certainly easier.
Game over, man. Game over.
Precisely. I can just bracket George Kittle. Hey, whatever side he's on, I'm either having strong side and middle linebacker go with him, or I'm having strong side linebacker and a walked up DB with him, or I'm having 2 DBs on him, or I'm having the middle linebacker and the safety walk up. I'm bracketing George Kittle. I'm taking him away. Brock Purdy. If you're going to beat me, you're going to have to beat me with somebody who's not George Kittle. The biggest threat you have to acquire first down after first down. I'm taking that away. And he's just not that good. If Brock Purdy was in the top, 7, 8, 9, 10 quarterbacks in the league, the 49ers still would have a chance. But I just don't think that they do now at 6 and 8. On the flip side, Sean McVay is the evil genius that we all thought that he was. Sean McVay has looked at a Rams roster that has been dealing with injuries, that had a real slow start. Puka Nacua has only played, 4 games this season? They've been banged up at the running back position. They've been banged up across the offensive line. They're a busted up team. And yet, they're 8-6. They are a half game off the lead in the division, and BT Dubs, they're a half game off the division. With the Seahawks yet to play, they could very well be tied for the lead in the NFC West by the conclusion of this weekend's festivities. The second narrative for this game for me was everybody woke up saying, oh, what a boring game. What a boring game. What a boring game. No. Buzzer sound. I don't know where my buzzer sound is. Thank you. Thank you for my buzzer sound. No, that is incorrect. That was not a bad game. That was not.
I mean, that's just some Bush League stuff.
No, it was not. That was actually a pretty good game. It's just that, and I said this back in the first hour, and I'll say it again here because I mean it. Last game was a boring game, if and only if the only thing you care about is the result of the play, not the play itself. The beauty happens not in the painted portion of the field, but on the striped portion of the field. Was it boring in terms of no tutties? No, not really. I mean, yes. But if you find beauty in the X's and O's, if you find beauty in the tactics, if you find beauty in the matchups, if you find beauty in football players doing football player things, not just in touchdowns, then last night was a good game. Last night was an entertaining game. Last night was an engaging game between two coaching staffs that very much know what the hell they're doing.
Okay, who needs a map to help find the end zone?
Those two teams, apparently. But I think that's the narrative that's been spun around quite a bit. And the real take should be, what a hell of a job from the two coaching staffs, man. Like,
nope.
They were on each other like the old metaphorical stank on poop. I mean, it was a well-coached game between two well-coached teams that both have their issues in terms of injuries, in terms of personnel. So while some of you were saying,
no, I thought it generally sucked. I didn't think it was a specific suck. I thought it was like an all-encompassing type of suck.
It wasn't. But again, you got to learn to enjoy football plays, not results of them. When I turn on the TV in the AM and I go to any given sports television channel to go see what the highlights were, what do they show you? In football, they show you touchdowns. In basketball, they show you dunks and threes. In soccer, they show you goals. And in baseball, they show you big dongs.
Inconceivable!
That's just what they show you. But as I've said a whole lot of times, the game is not those things. The game is not those things. The game...
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
No, I'm not. I never am. The game is all of the things that lead up to that thing.
Inconceivable!
When a guy throws a touchdown, there's 5 offensive linemen ahead of them running a particular blocking scheme. There's 3 or 4 defensive linemen trying to defeat that. There are linebackers trying to figure out where the right place to be is by watching the quarterback and the running back and reacting to where they go and what they do. There are wide receivers that are running drawn up by very good, very smart coaches trying to combine those routes to get somebody out of position and create a space. There's a quarterback that's looking at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different wide receivers and trying to find which one of them is going to be in the right place at the right time, then has to deliver that. All of that happens, and it leads up to the touchdown. The touchdown is the result of the play. The play itself is where the beauty of the game is. And coaching comes into that.
No way.
I know. Coaching comes into that. And last night, while many of you thought that the game was not good, which respectfully it was. While many of you thought last night, you may even describe the game as messy. It wasn't. It was 2 excellent offensive coaches throwing together game plans, having to account for guys that were hurt, guys that were out, guys that just left the field.
Wasn't it raining?
It was. It was
Why
gross.
aren't you complaining about that too?
Because none of you are.
So it was a beautiful game, even though it was in the rain.
It was a beautifully coached game, yes. Do I think it would have been even better in sunny weather? Yeah. Or at least a clear night? Yes. Do I think it would have been even better in a dome? Yes.
Nope.
Do I think that football game was played by 2 football teams playing the best football that they can play? No. No, I do not. Absolutely not. Not a chance. But none of you are on board with me in that conversation. I have found in all of Greenville, South Carolina, one other dude who agrees with me on that take. And I don't care. The two of us are right and you're all wrong. All of you.
That sounds familiar.
Story of my life. Let me get Creed in here before we run to a break. Creed, welcome back to the show, big dog. Good to have you.
I don't necessarily like this, but I'm going to have to make you feel better about yourself. The rain, it was raining, but if you look, there was no wind at all, and it wasn't freezing cold. So that makes the rain not quite as devastating when there's no wind and it's not cold. That's one thing. So that makes the rain not as bad. But more importantly, when you talk about Brock Purdy and you talk about the people, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Sanders, all those guys, they look good. They're great. George Kittle, but they're not the man. They're not the one. The one on that team, the best football thing I have seen in the last 2 years of any position is last year when you seen Michael Parsons charge in, hit Trent Williams, and look like he bounced off a wall.
Yep.
Trent Williams is everything, and he has been out. And they just, that has been devastating for them. And on another note, a little side note, it's kind of nice as a Panther fan to at least get a glimpse of why we got rid of McCaffrey, because it was insane to get rid of McCaffrey, insane. But if you remember, he was hurt for 2 years in a row when we got rid of him.
And a lot of people, Creed, I think, got to a point where because of the year he had last year he had a historic year. Last year he had a year that we'll be talking about for a very long time. But that was also one of those things that I said when you traded him. I said, look, at the end of the day, you got a lot of miles on those tires. And if they are going to utilize him as an every down scat back, he's going to have a lot more. This cat does not have, unfortunately, because I love Christian McCaffrey is one of the most entertaining football players in the National Football League. But at the end of the day, utilizing your body the way he utilizes the body does not lead to running backs making it past 30, 31 years of age. There was absolutely a mile limit on McCaffrey. And it turns out that Carolina made a pretty good move to get what they could get for him at the right time. So I agree with that.
Well, we had 2 years there where we hardly had him. Remember, he was just not even available for 2 years, and that's why we got rid of him. And don't get me wrong, it was heartbreaking when he had the year that we didn't have him. That's true. But now you're looking at why we did it, because he just gets hurt. Damn, he just gets hurt. So, but anyway, all right. I hate making you feel better, but now tell there's 3 guys with you, okay?
All good, my man. Thank you very much, Creed. Appreciate it. Good call. Thanks for checking in. No, not at all. Creed, you're welcome anytime. I also would go so far as to say his Trent Williams take was good. I hadn't even gotten to that yet. I hadn't even gotten to that because he's exactly right. Trent Williams was a guy who neutralized just about any edge rusher off the left-hand side, including Micah Parsons. So that ding to the offense was something that Kyle Shanahan had to work around. And as you saw late in the game, because Brock Purdy was literally sacked from the blind side to end the game, they just didn't have a workaround for that, and it caught up with them in that contest. I thought it was a spectacular game for what it was and the setup in terms of personnel and players that were available and were not available. Texter said, Rob, do yourself a favor and look up Fancy Christmas Song by Walker Hayes. You're welcome. All right, I'll check that out during the break.
Why would you look up a country song?
Because country is awesome.
No, it's
because country is awesome, and you're wrong. Texter said, never have I ever seen a better representation of a dumbass Clemson fan. 17-14, baby. Superman beat that Tiger. Spartanburg J said, my papa used to call me Hot Rod.
Hey, Rod.
Kane used to call me Rod. Spartanburg J, so we got that in common.
Papa or Papa?
He said Papa.
Okay.
P-A-P-A, that's Papa, right?
Could be.
Papa.
Probably.
My papa used to say.
Hey, Rod.
Thanks, Kane. Appreciate that. Texas said, I'm interested in bowl games if our kids play. If they sit out, then you just W somehow. You don't have to hear about losing the ball. Yeah, that's my thing, though, right? Like, if you win the bowl game, sincere question, how many of y'all that have sent your team bowling in the last few years, how many of y'all have bought a blank bowl champion shirt? How many South Carolina fans own a Duke's Mayo Bowl champions t-shirt? Sincerely. You don't, because you don't care. You don't, because you don't care. It's that simple. You don't, because you don't care.
Who would wear a mayonnaise t-shirt? Really? I haven't seen you wear one.
Hey, Dukes, if you
Since
want to
you're
send me
raising
some
your hand.
swag, I'll wear it on the stream daily.
They probably wouldn't because I'm
Daily.
here and I disparage the cult.
Send me 5 shirts. I'll rotate through them every day. Send them in different colors so I can match them to my flannel. Do you mind? Do you mind?
Do they even make shirts?
Texter said, clarification. Rob's still a kid, right? Well, first off, my name's not Rob.
Hey, Rod.
All right. Second off, yeah, it depends on who you ask. Texter said, morning, fellas. No one really talks about red shirts anymore. How would you feel if the red shirt rule was lifted for college football playoffs? What do you mean? Like if the red shirt's burnt, they're not burnt?
I think it is, isn't it? From I think once they play through the season, they
That's a
can
good
play
question,
in the,
actually.
They can play in a bowl game. Someone addressed this on the show. It was Monday.
It's a great question. If we answer that, I don't remember, which is strongly possible.
It was our Clemson guy, I'm pretty sure.
Texter
mentioned that.
said,
Yeah.
maybe Ray left you alone because he's finally pleased with the way you're doing your job.
No.
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 Ray did.
He is dead.
He did. Hey, stick around. We got more to come as we wrap up the show. The Rod
Hey, Rod.
Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. Get up.
Yes,
All
I
right,
am.
guys. Be right back. Don't go anywhere, please, and thank you.
115.
Talking NFL football on the way out the door here on the Fan Upstate and on the Rod Brown Show. Oh, man. Don't screw up my own gimmick. All right. Well, let's just talk football instead then, shall we? What's the best game of the weekend this weekend? There's a couple of them. It's a decent NFL football weekend. I'm not super concerned. How about Kansas City being 4-point favorites at Cleveland this weekend? Like even Vegas is like, all right, we just got to lean into this now.
Yeah, it's about right.
We just got to lean into
that.
this.
That might be a little much.
Like basically,
it should be like 2 every time.
Are they going to kick off a walk-off field goal or not? Like that's it. Like
who's a kicker this week? Is it still it's still the same guy?
Yes.
Bucker was practicing. And Hollywood Brown has been cleared. I don't think he's going to play yet, but he's been cleared. He hasn't played yet this year. It'd be interesting to see what he looks like.
Will be interesting. Bengals at Tennessee. Like the Titans at 3-10 competing for worst team in the league. Cincinnati is currently at 5-8. I think the playoff bid is over for the Bengals. I don't see a road back from 5-8
unless they can transfer to the NFC South.
Yeah. Well, in which case, if they win out, they might win the division, but we'll see. Anyway, they've got the Titans, Browns, Broncos, and Steelers. I don't think they're winning out, but even if they did, doesn't matter. Commanders at Saints, Washington -7.5 against New Orleans. Taysom Hill is done for the year. Had all of the things in his knee pop last week. Not only is he done for the year, Lonzo, he is 35 years old. I am crushed, but I think the Taysom Hill experiment is over. I think it has been
Was it an experiment? I think it was successful.
All right, that's fair enough.
I mean, that guy's who's the last guy who ever did what Taysom Hill was able to do on a football field?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone who's probably going to win the Heisman tomorrow, maybe he would do stuff like that in the NFL. We'll find out.
See, Taysom's interesting because he's got a not half bad arm. He can move, but Taysom was special in that Taysom ran and he punished you, right? Like Taysom ran through your chest. At 35 years old, now with a shredded knee, I don't know that he can come back and be Taysom Hill. I mean, maybe he could come back and be a quarterback, but realistically speaking, if Taysom Hill was capable of being a top-notch NFL quarterback, he'd have been an NFL quarterback that they turned loose to run. He'd have been Lamar Jackson. He'd have been the white Lamar Jackson. I don't think he can come back and just be a quarterback. So, we'll see. Baltimore is, and this is the biggest spread of the year, great one, 16-point favorites on the road at the New York Giants. 16. That's a 1 and a 6. That is 16-point favorites over the Giants.
Would this be something you would look at and go, maybe go with the Giants here?
No, I'm not touching that game. I've said for years,
So you don't take a risk every once in a while on something like that?
I don't play college football spreads that are 29.5 or greater, and I don't play NFL spreads that are 13.5 or greater. When you get me into a range where I got to win by a pair of touchdowns, I don't touch it. It's the NFL. Weird stuff happens all the time, right? Carolina was a Xavier Legette drop away from beating the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. I don't do 12.5 points. That's too much. Speaking of the Carolina Panthers, they are at home against the Dallas Cowboys and 3 point. The line's moved, by the way, great. When it was 2.5, now it's at -3, meaning that either the money is coming in on Carolina, the sharps are betting their money on Carolina, or something's happened that we haven't found out yet that's changed this line by 0.5 point. But rounding up to the full 3 means Carolina is now favored by 0.5 point more than they were yesterday when we talked about this. I don't know, man. Like, there's a part of me that wants to take the Cats on the cover here. There's a part of me that wants to just YOLO it to the Cats on the cover. And there's one reason why. Because I have said a couple of things about Xavier Legette. Love the guy. Big fan. But if he catches that ball, they win the game. That loss was, love the guy, on Xavier Legette. You got to catch that football. Got to catch that football. XL was asked about that at the conclusion of the game and, after practice yesterday about the conclusion of the game, and he said this.
Can you give us the update on your wrist and whether that played a factor in Sunday and all your performances?
No, it ain't playing a factor at all. My wrist is getting better now from when it had against the Saints.
Were you telling us that week you had aggravated it? Is it an old injury or was it a new one?
Oh, no, it's something I've been dealing with since college. I just never got serious. So I got to probably get picked this offseason.
Ligaments, X, or?
Yeah.
Says it's a lingering injury that he was dealing with in college, and he just never had the surgery to correct it, and he thinks he's probably going to have to get that done this offseason. Also, I think my favorite thing about Xavier Legette is that just entire syllables disappear.
Surgery.
Gotta get surgery. I love this guy so much. He had the opportunity to blame it on the wrist, and he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, same thing, man. Everybody just saying the same thing. But I ain't looking for the sympathy. I know what I got to do and what I need to do. So that's what it's going to come to.
I love it. I love the kid. He said, look, everybody's telling me the same thing. Keep your head up. Stay the course. You're good. He said, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not looking for sympathy. I know I got to play better, and I respect that. Adam Thielen had some words of encouragement for XL too.
Well, I haven't talked to him too much yet, but I'm going to talk to him because we've all been there. Played a long time, had some critical drops in my career, tough plays didn't make. I remember going back to college of fumbling in overtime of a playoff game. So we all have it. He's a hard worker. He does things all the right way. And so we're proud of him, and he had a great game. So just keep working, and definitely we're there for him.
I got to say, dude's a dude, man. Dude's a dude. No question about it. Dude's a dude. XL's a dude. Adam Thielen's a dude. But we talked about it earlier this week. The mentality of this team is excellent. Honestly, the mentality of the team. You can see it. I try not to dive too far down this rabbit path because, as I pointed out, I don't like talking about intangibles. I like talking about things that I can quantify. I like talking about empirical things that I can point and go, this is that, this is that, this is that. It's hard to talk about abstract things, but you have to in sports. You have to talk about leadership, and you have to talk about grit, and you got to talk about all these different things. Well, one of the things that I do have to talk about is fight. One of the things I have to talk about is mentality of the team. And I love the mentality of this team. Here's XL going, look, dude, I can't blame it on my wrist. I got to play better, right? I don't want the sympathy. I just got to play better, and I respect the hell out of that. I got Adam Thielen going, look, I'm going to talk with this young kid. I'm going to talk with him. I'm going to help him feel better. I'm going to make sure he knows what happened to him on Sunday happens to everybody at some point in their career. If part of your job is catching a football, you're eventually going to drop a football. Just like if part of your job is blocking, you're going to miss a block. And if part of your job is tackling, you're going to miss a tackle. Happens to everybody. It's just that in that moment, the one time it happened to you, and it wasn't the one time it's happened to him, it's been an issue if we're keeping it a buck. Even if I love the guy, got to do it. It's going to happen. And here's Adam Thielen, team leader, stepping up to say, I'm going to talk to him, and we're going to get it fixed. I love everything about it. Like as a Saints fan, it chaps me a little bit because I know that this team next year is going to be good. Like a 9-win football team next year. Genuinely, maybe 10. 9-10 win football team next year. As a radio dude, I love it. As a radio guy, I love it because they're giving us content. They're giving us personality. And they're like right there, man. Like right there. Any of the last 3 games that were L's, any one of them could have been flipped over. You beat the Saints, you beat the Giants, any of the last 3 games. Against 3 good teams, by the way. Could have been a win against Kansas City. Could have been a win against Philly this past Sunday. Any of the 3. And now they're favored against Dallas, and that's part of the reason why. And I love it. I mean, I'm this program, this franchise, what I enjoy talking about is the mentality that has been built and how it is, as far as I'm concerned, starting to show up on the football field. I'm honestly, I will be going out of my way Sunday to watch the Carolina Panthers. The Saints play the Commanders at the same time. This is going to be the first time in a very long time the Panthers will be on the 75-inch and the Saints will be on the small TV, the 45-inch on the floor.
Well, you got to do that to make Bryce look taller.
I'll stop.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very.
You're not allowed to do that, sir. You have to leave me in.
So we're back tied. We're back tied.
Hey, a tie's not a loss.
Yes, it is.
Tie's not a loss.
A tie's a win and a loss. That's how a tie works.
It's a tie.
It's a win and a loss.
No, it's not. It's a tie.
It's a win and a loss.
No, it's not. It's a tie. That's a different thing.
If it was both.
If it was a win and a loss, we would say, hey, you got a win and a loss. But we don't say that. We say you got a tie because a tie is a different thing.
Which is a win and a loss.
A draw is a different thing. You did not win and you did not lose. In fact, not only is it not a win and a loss, it's the opposite of both of those things. It is neither of them.
Hey, Rod, we still got 27 minutes. Babe.
Hey, Rod.
Texter said, Rob, thank you for still covering the Panthers. Even though this hasn't been their best a couple of seasons, you still give them plenty of airtime. Yeah, man, we cover the team. What do you want? We cover the squads around here, man. Let's take a break. When we come back, got a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline from Jared and Peltzer. We'll say it's Peltzer.
Daggum Peltzer.
Peltzer. We'll see what Jared had to say. If you want to leave a message on the Ray Memorial Hotline, go to the Odyssey app, the Fan Upstate page, click on the Leave a Voice Message button, and do that. We'll wrap the show up next on the Rob Brown Show. Sorry.
This is Kane.
God dang it. I did it again. On the Rob Brown. All right, whatever. The Fan Upstate. I'm out. I missed all my clips resetting when I stopped it.
And then I nailed that one. I mean, that was beautiful. Why you do why you jump up like that? So just did the no. I turned something off. I should not do that. It's an unwritten rule. Oh, I'm not doing that. No. I'm not doing that. But I got myself because, I did that, then I felt bad about it, and then I didn't turn my mic on. He would have lost 2 weeks in a row. By the way, Keegan, we talked about that earlier. Rob played some of the audio from that.
sales on everything you need. Photo gifts, laptops, and gaming systems. Even custom holiday cards and shipping solutions to send gifts to the family that can't make it. Perfect.
He's played that thing so many times, it's starting to work into my brain too. That's how AI works. That's how AI takes over. It's already got to him. Now he's playing it so much, it's starting to get to me. So when all things go dark and you wonder, how did this happen when the robots take over? Remember, it all started with Rob.
Or maybe they lead us into a glorious utopia where none of us have to work anymore unless we choose to.
How boring would that be? Nothing to work for, nothing to drive for. I mean, that would be extremely, that's...
No, you would have plenty of reasons to drive and do things. You can just do whatever you want.
Sounds boring.
To just do whatever you want. I want to go to the Grand Canyon, and I have all the time. I don't have to ask for vacation. I don't have to ask another
How
person
do you have the
permission.
money to do that?
If the robots are doing everything, money becomes irrelevant.
Okay.
Imagine you just go to a restaurant, and the robots farm the food, collected the food, cook the
Ooh.
food, serve the food.
Good point, Keegan. Very good point.
The robots are back. The Rod Brown Show continues right here on the Fan Upstate. Rod and Lonzo with you. Wrapping up the Friday edition of the radio broadcast. A few more things I want to get to here on the show. Ross Bjork is the new athletic director of Ohio State University. Said yesterday, Ryan Day is, and I quote, absolutely
What,
safe.
you can't
end
say
quote.
the anymore? It's the Ohio State University.
There's multiple state universities in Ohio. So it is an Ohio State University.
No, there are not multiple state universities.
There are.
Not that say Ohio State. No, there are not.
That does,
If you're thinking of
just
Ohio
because they have this-
University,
just
then-
because they
then
have
that's a totally different thing.
specific name doesn't make them not a state university. You claimed the name, but Ohio University is an Ohio State University. You just have the name.
It's not Ohio State University, though. It's Ohio.
Miami of Ohio is a Ohio State University. They are all an Ohio State University. You're Ohio State University. That's the name. But you were an Ohio State University. And Ryan Day is definitely coming back next year, no matter what happens.
Definitely.
According to Ross Bjork. The reaction? Just don't care? Good enough? Not worried about it?
By the way, he could win the national championship.
He could.
We don't know. I mean, they were picked to win the national championship. Vegas thought they were going to do it. They don't think so anymore, but they did think. I mean, they were picked to win the national championship for a long time until they lost to Michigan.
Again. Okay.
What was the awkward silence for? I don't know.
I was opening the door for a response.
To what?
I don't know if you were gonna have a just any take.
Oh.
Nope, stop it.
Oh, what about Ryan Day being back? It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise. I mean, the outcry of the fans that he should be gone because he lost to Michigan. I'm not sure rivalries mean the same as they used to, thanks to in part to now the 12-team playoff, because that game would have meant so much more if it was the 4-team or the BCS or whatever things used to be before even the BCS. It probably doesn't mean the same, especially to the people running the place. And you got to look at how many victories he's had everywhere else. I'm not surprised, but the outcry will still be there. But as you've said, the fans are, I mean, they're just the fans. That's all.
I mean, well, yeah, that is correct.
As long as the fans don't go, hey, we're withholding
that's not
money.
true. There is
if they stop withholding money to the collectives and things like that, and to where players go, they're not paying me, I'm going somewhere else.
There is absolutely an elite group of fans who matter more.
Yeah.
That's just the reality.
The ones with the money.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the entire foundational system of college football, for sure. Without a doubt.
Yes, Joe, the Swedish chef is our AD.
Bjork. Swedish chef needs more references. All right, back to the NFL for just a minute. Miami releases Odell Beckham Jr. earlier this AM. If you missed that news, it broke about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. And it's unsurprising. Odell Beckham Jr. has done nothing because he's unfortunately not Odell Beckham Jr. anymore, or at least not the one that was making ridiculous one-handed falling backwards catches in the corner of the end zone.
Does he play again this year? Will another team pick him up?
Yeah, I think somebody will give him a shot.
Who you got? Who you think's going to take him? Will a contender? Let's put it that way. Will a contender take him?
Tell me you don't take him in San Francisco right now.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
But they're not a contender anymore.
Yeah, I go get him in San Francisco.
Does he go anywhere that's not a contender?
Probably not.
Does his name mean anything anymore? As far as, I mean, if you look at his production this year, was nearly zero production.
Yeah, I think it means something from the standpoint of you got a vet, you got a guy that can serve as a third or fourth wide receiver. He can kind of be your emergency guy. You know, and maybe you look at it and you go, a guy that's not Tua may do a better job with Odell Beckham Jr., right? Like pure pocket passer.
A less precise passer.
Well, they're all less precise than Tua.
Right. So,
he's the most accurate passer in the National Football League.
So front runners, Detroit couldn't use them, right? They don't need them, right?
I mean, honestly, I don't think Detroit. By the way, did you see the handshake line on the sideline from the Lions the other day? They did this thing where after a tutty, the boys coming off the field, they were all in a line and they were doing the dap and hug, but they were all doing it at the same tempo. So there was a line of dab. I put it on my Twitter like late last night because I was mesmerized by it. That team has the most ridiculous, and I don't like talking about this all that much. That team has the most ridiculous chemistry I've ever seen. Like they're just on it. I don't know that I would add a variable into what they got going right now. San Francisco, I absolutely would. Absolutely would, without a doubt. Because there's no chemistry on that offense right now. I don't think you risk ruining chemistry by adding OBJ to that lineup. In fact, if anything, I don't think it can get anything but a little bit better. Even if he does very little, I've got to take pressure off of Debo right now.
So I'm just trying to think, are there any fringe teams that have a chance to make the playoffs, but they're not quite certain if they're going to make it? Do the Rams take them?
I got one for you. Denver Broncos. What about Denver? I don't think Denver's a bad pick. Denver's sitting at 8-5 right now. They are tied with the Chargers for second in that division. They would be outright second in the AFC South. They would be second in the AFC North. They would be second in the AFC East. As of right now, your divisional winners are the Chiefs at 12-1, the Bills at 10-3, the Steelers at 10-3, the Texans at 8-5, and then your wild card teams right now would be the Chargers at 8-5, the Broncos at 8-5, and the Ravens at 8-5. Denver's in the playoffs right now, and Jerry Jeudy's been a dog, but why not give Bo Nix one more target to work with, right? I think Denver's an interesting play there.
Could Sean Payton handle the ego, though?
Here's the thing. What from OBJ have you seen this year that leads you to believe that he's still that guy?
This year, no, but I mean, in years past, definitely was there.
Yeah, but I'm only worried about right now. Like, I think you can go to Odell Beckham Jr. and go, look, dog, here's your options. You can come here and be a chill teammate, or you can not play. It's your pick.
I know where he probably shouldn't go.
Kansas City?
Well, no, they don't need him. So I was more thinking about Baker.
I mean, Tampa needs a dude.
Yeah, but wasn't he the guy who said stuff about Baker in Cleveland?
It's a work.
Oh, okay. All right. That's saying that's probably the one place he probably shouldn't go. And he may not play again. He may not.
Baker?
No.
Oh, OBJ.
Yeah.
I was like, why? But it turns out I'm just dumb. No, I agree. There's a very good chance he doesn't play again. There's also a very good chance that a fringe team that could help their quarterback by adding a piece that maybe can go. Maybe he can go. Maybe you bring him in, you work him out, you put it on the offense in a couple of practices before you play him, and you see if there's any chemistry at all. And if there's not, great, you pay him $1 million and you send him on his way. And if there is, great, you got another weapon. Like I'd probably roll the dice, right? Like what's the harm in rolling the dice in that spot? I don't think there is one. Atlanta not going to go to Michael Penix Jr. just yet. Raheem Morris said yesterday that they do not want to rush the rook and that there is a time and a place to add Michael Penix Jr. into the lineup. But despite the fact that the Falcons are 0-4 with 8 picks and no touchdowns through the air in the past 4 weeks, now's not that time.
Yeah, that'd be.
And my question is why?
Preseason next year. That'll be the time.
It makes no sense not to play him now. It makes zero sense not to play him like this week now, like immediately now. The Atlanta Falcons are now a full game off the path in the NFC South. The Atlanta Falcons are not dead yet. The Atlanta Falcons have coming up the Raiders, winnable game, the Giants, winnable game. Then they are at the Commanders, fat question mark. And then they're back home against Carolina at the end of the year. And Carolina doesn't strike me as a team that's going to shut it down for week 18.
As bad as Kirk Cousins has been, I'm going to trust him more to beat those teams than I am bringing a rookie in to play his first
He's
game of the
0-4
season.
with 8 picks and no tutties against some mediocre teams.
As bad as he's been, I will trust him more than a rookie.
He's 0-4 with 8 picks and no tutties against the Saints, Broncos, Chargers, and Vikings.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, here's the thing. If Kirk Cousins comes in and just suddenly turns it all around, like great, but he's 0-4 with 8 picks and no touchdowns, right? There's not even a glimmer in there that's like, okay, it's still in there. Like he's still there. He's still there's Kirko. There's Kirko right there. There's that number. There's none of that. Make the switch, man. Give yourselves a chance. You're not dead yet.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Sorry, even with my jitterbug letters, it almost got me. But thanks to the jitterbug letters, I saw that I had the wrong thing in there. And I was able to correct it.
Nice.
So I took measures to fix something that's been lacking in my work lately. All right, the first thing that is Xing rather is YouTube TV.
YouTube TV. I don't know if this is why it's Xing. It probably isn't, but I am going to give it out anyway. YouTube TV in the last week has popped up the Zen channel. The Zen channel is amazing. So if you have YouTube TV, you know that when the television networks go to a commercial, but they're running commercials that can't go on YouTube for like the last couple of seconds, YouTube puts up what they call like your moment of Zen or whatever it is. And it's always like some calming related, be like a Zen garden or like a picture of a polar bear walking across the Arctic or like, bird, like hummingbirds flying around or whatever. And it's just this quiet, peaceful, whatever.
Bugs in the Zen garden? Because if there are, then it wouldn't be a
no,
Zen
it's
garden
just,
for me.
it's super chill, laid back, bro kind of stuff. Well, people love it. And so YouTube is taking all those videos, and now on YouTube TV, there's just a Zen channel. It's just those videos that you can put on the background and sit and chill and relax. And I got to tell you, it has already gotten some freaking mileage out of me, son.
You need that because you're just on edge all the time. No, the reason why is because they just raised the price again, and people are getting angry about it.
They're very proud of what they've put together, and I get it, but like. At some point, we're going to pendulum swing back towards cable, right? Like at some point, it's going to make sense to go back to cable and just start doing a la carte add-on channels.
Yeah, as soon as cable goes, all those services you're paying for, everything you have there, you have it right here.
Yeah.
It's going to happen eventually. The next thing that's Xing is Dick Van Dyke.
Greatest Cockney accent in movie history. But I have no idea why he's trending. He's 102.
It's close. He's probably still a chimney sweep. But no, he turned 99 today.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chimchery. When you're with a sweep, you're in grand company.
Wow. It's an amazing song.
Mary Poppins, baby.
Yeah.
That movie slaps.
Yes, it does. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Tony Storm.
Tony Storm made her return as Tony Storm. Listen, Timeless Tony Storm was a fantastic gimmick. It was a fantastic character. She did a fantastic job with it. But it was time, because in the heart of every dude is a yearning desire for that badass rock and roll chick. That's Tony Storm. Welcome back, Tony Storm.
Needs to let the hair grow out a little bit more again. But yeah, she's almost
that short-haired rock and roll chick.
No. She had long hair when she first started doing longer hair. It doesn't have to be, down.
No, I'm saying it's good where it's at.
Okay.
She's a smoke show.
All right. The next thing that's Xing is Bronny James.
Bronny James is either set to or last night did, I'm not sure, to be honest, because it's the G League, make his G League road debut. When he got sent down from the Lakers to the G League, he was not playing road games.
He already did.
Okay.
And had 30 points.
Okay. I mean, good. Listen, there's a good basketball player in Bronny James. The issue was never bringing Bronny in. We said that during the draft. I'm like, drafting a kid isn't the bad idea. The bad idea is drafting the kid and then not letting him develop like you would any other player, which they did not do. He's getting his development time now, and you're starting to kind of see the game shape up a little bit.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair is Xing because she did an interview yesterday where she said the greatest interview she ever did was with Lonzo.
She is my friend. That's not why she's Xing, though. The rumor is she comes back on Saturday night's main event.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see where they decide to throw her into the mix.
She's been away a year, and also the rumor is that she's the one who attacked Jake Cargill.
If she goes over Rhea Ripley, I'm gonna find a table and I'm gonna flip it over.
Okay,
immediately.
Good for you. That's going to happen because she's a queen for a reason. All right, the last thing that's Xing is
She might be the queen, but she's not mommy.
Yeah. Okay. Last I checked, in the hierarchy, queen is above mommy.
Maybe in your life, but in my life, mommy's on top.
So you're saying that your wife is not a queen?
No, I'm saying I call my wife mommy.
Okay. Finally, the last thing that's Xing is Friday the 13th.
Because it is, which makes tonight a wonderful night for all of you to sit down and watch the best Christmas movie ever made, Nightmare Before Christmas. Enjoy it. Jack Skellington rides once more. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Do not drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy 2 bowl games. Enjoy the NFL Sunday. And we will all enjoy seeing you back here on Monday to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later!
All right, but who's soft? I mean, is it the football schedule? It was up there, so I played it.
Pretty much, that was it. Yeah.
I was thinking I was going to get a train. Instead, I got something that you can't teach.
That?
You can't teach that.
All right, dudes.
Yeah, me and Rob are going drone hunting.
We are out of here. I have things to do, people to see, promos to record, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend, everybody. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Goodbye.